That sounded good.
That sounded really good.
Yeah.
I think we're
Fuck
kind of
me.
in sync already. That's lucky.
It's gonna be me. Was that NSYNC or Backstreet Boys?
Who knows? 90s.
Yeah.
No one.
Scientists are
when
still
they-
debating.
When they did the fusion dance? Turned into the ends Backstreet Boys?
All I know is
Oh, when they made Boys.
It's my favorite Hanson song in Boys. Guys, it's a podcast. We're doing one of those again.
woo.
They still exist.
I think I'm peaking. I'm sorry. I'm going to back up a little bit, or just not woo real loud into the microphone.
Like it's not going to get funnier than this peaking, or
It's all downhill from here. You start high, you lure them in, and then
Yeah.
the rest is boring.
Hour 3 minute 37 is going to be real. It's just dead air.
We should do the Final Fantasy 13 protocol, which is after 20 hours, it gets good.
Yeah, smart.
This is the hinterlands of the podcast.
That's also the Death Stranding protocol for me.
Oh, no. Don't make me not want to play that game.
I disagree entirely, completely. 20 hours, I think, is when it started to get real tedious.
It seems like the whole point of the game is to be... Like, I obviously haven't played it, and you guys have, but... Isn't that just a tedious game? Isn't that like the whole, like, the theme is tedium?
Let's stop and not talk about that right now, and let's hit this intro, and then we can talk about it.
Yeah.
Intro
We're in
us.
it. I will. Hello, this is Boss Barrel Radio. My name is Griffin Hoffman, and with me is Jeff Brewer,
Hey.
James Scherer,
Hello,
and this is the Game of the Year Talk.
Goaty,
Prefaced by Death Stranding talk.
Kobe. I think
2019.
I think that the goatee is Kobe. What do you guys think?
Kobe is the goat.
Yeah.
Kobe is retired, so I don't know if that counts anymore. Well,
Yeah,
LeBron.
Kobe's good, but I hear Wagyu is up and coming.
Oh, that's good.
I'm sorry.
That was really good.
I'll make my exit now.
I'm
Jeff peaked as well. Goodbye, everybody.
I'm hoping for more of those, Jeff.
Griffin, you got to carry the rest of the podcast from here on out.
Okay. What's my favorite beef? I think it was when we were talking about Dragon Quest Inquisition.
Wait, is Dragon Quest 11S Definitive Edition Chapters of the Chosen × 5, is that allowed to be considered a game of the year because it came out in 2019? Even though it's a remake?
I have no idea what you just said.
It's the Echoes of an Elusive Age.
I was going to put it on my list, but I forgot.
Hey, you can put whatever you want on whatever list you have and call whatever thing you want the game of the year.
The game came out in 2017?
My game of the year is
Kobe.
Kobe Bryant. And also the Avengers movies.
I don't know, man. Actually, that was a great movie. Endgame. I enjoyed that movie.
You know what
rewatched Captain Marvel because I fell asleep during it at the theater and left midway through because I realized I was snoring very loud in a public theater.
You're a good human. That's good.
Yeah,
It's a good movie, too. It's not that I was bored. I just fell asleep. The theaters have, like, leather chairs.
Was it a good
They're
movie?
heated now. It's great.
Yeah.
Can I tell you the best way to experience the Marvel canon?
At home?
My answer was going to be don't, and just watch a couple of them.
Okay.
Or you could do what Shannon and I did and watch all of them in
No.
chronological order.
No.
Not in terms of when they were released, but like the order in the universe
I like that idea.
2 weeks
No.
before the release of the last one. And then you actually really enjoy it, and then you literally forget everything. I could not tell you.
I don't know what the name of the last movie is.
I don't know either. I loved it.
Far From Home?
No, the big one.
What the hell is the name of the last
The big one.
Endgame.
Endgame. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Literally, I
Jeff, thank you.
watched Infinity War on the morning that I watched Endgame. I woke up at 9, watched Infinity War, drove to the theater, and watched Endgame.
Who's the name of the bad guy? Brad? Brad the Purple Man? Is
Yeah,
that-
Brad.
Grimace, I believe, actually. Skinny Grimace.
He says, "I am Brad. I am inevitable."
Fuckable Grimace?
Yeah, ripped Grimace.
No, it's Chad. It's definitely Chad.
Daddy Grimace.
That's also the best way to experience Death Stranding, I think, is to power through it and just let it wash over you, which is incidentally what I did. And I think that's actually the only way. Here, I'll tell you the only way that someone can enjoy Death Stranding. So
Can I ask
have,
a quick question before we talk about it? Is it on anyone's Game of the Year list?
it's on mine.
Quick question before that. Spoilers, right?
Hell yeah. Well, I'm not.
Well, not too many.
I'm
'cause
not
I've never
completely
played it.
through. I fought Mads the first time, Griff, so I'm not completely through.
Oh, so you've got another 30 hours to 40 hours in front of you.
Yeah.
So so this game
Wait,
sucks.
how long is this game?
It took me about, was it 50? I don't remember if it was 70 or 90 hours, but it was up
Christ.
Yeah, so
Can
I'm
they-
probably
can they
30
not?
or 40 hours in, and Griff is telling me that I have 30 more, so that sounds about right.
If you fought Mads for the first time, so that means you went through the Midwest, right?
Yeah, pretty
You
much.
have hell to go through.
That's what I'm...
Can
that's
I
what
ask
hear.
a couple of no context questions as someone who hasn't played the game and doesn't want too many spoilers?
Why,
Yep.
yes.
Is there a microwave hallway?
No, but
But yes, there is.
another Metal Gear Solid 5 moment in
But-
it, or 4 moment in it.
But you
That's
know what?
like-
You know what, Jeff? The whole game is a
Is there a
microwave, hallway.
That's a very good point, yeah.
Like, literally. You are dying
just-
because you are playing the game. And the
I just-
whole
Yeah.
game is about mitigating that.
Yeah,
I
that's a
don't
good point.
know if that's something I want.
It's not.
I love it.
I don't know if getting the story beats is worth the tedium for
No,
me.
the story is horrible. The story is
Yeah,
nonsense.
it's fucking trash.
But the game, I think, is actually not. And
Okay, all right.
I have thoughts on this. Let me get my thoughts out, and then please, Griffin, respond to my thoughts. But
I have another question after that, but
Okay.
get me your thoughts out first. and
the
then I'll ask
first
my
thing,
question.
I've been thinking about this a lot because I read Haruki Murakami's most recent novel, Killing Commendadore, which is
Brag much.
excellent.
Did you just say
read.
brag much? Yeah. Because you read a book?
Okay. So, I say this because I want to say that I realized something. And I realized, this is what I think, this is a big breakthrough that I had personally for me in my life. When Western people tell stories, they're worried about two things. And this is not my thought, this is a common thought. Western stories are worried about the rules and the stakes. And you want to set up a series of rules that are internally consistent in your story, and you want to know what's at stake. And if you can navigate those two things, you're telling like a really good story. And I think that the Watchmen series, which is amazing, is a great example of that. And I think the Watchmen series, the new one, navigates rules and stakes better than like anything I've seen recently. And it's really good. But in Murakami's novel, which is also really good, there's no rules and there's
Just
no
right.
stakes.
Just right.
Fuck you.
Softball down the middle. There's no rules, there's no stakes, and it's just the milieu. It's just about setting
The
a
mood.
tone
The
and
mood, man.
having you stew in that tone, and that's it. Doesn't give a rat's behind about having internal consistency or making sense, and that's what this story is. The story on the face of it is bad. Doesn't make any sense.
Isn't Kojima all about themes with a capital T? Isn't that like his thing?
Yes, but even those, I think, probably, if you really examined them in this game, would probably either fall on their face or be so heavy-handed that it would almost be silly to even call them themes. But I think that
Well, it's a Strand game, so
what the story does do is it sets a tone which is reinforced by the gameplay, which is just drudgery. Like, it's a horrible existence. The character is miserable. You're miserable. it's a slog, and I feel like it's reflected in the gameplay in a way that is really interesting and fun at times, and rewarding more than it is fun. I think that this game is really rewarding to participate in the asynchronous online stuff, and I think that stuff makes it compelling. And no, it's not. I wouldn't say it's a fun game, but I keep going back to it, and I think it's because I really do feel rewarded. I feel like my time, I feel like to a certain extent, my time in the game is being rewarded. That's what I have to say. And
with monetary compensation for the job you're doing?
Exactly. But I realize that it's a mess. Like, even in the things that you're supposed to be doing, it just doesn't. I'm sure you'll agree with this, Griffin. It just doesn't feel right. Like the movement, it feels at times like it's intentionally preventing you from doing what you want to do, and in other times it's just like, is this what he wanted, or is this just bad? Is this just broken?
Can you give an example?
Like, so for example, you get vehicles eventually, right? And the area, you would assume, in a normal video game, you would assume that when you get vehicles, you're going to be in an area in which you can utilize those vehicles. And every time this game gives you a new vehicle, it has done nothing to help you utilize that vehicle. Now, there's a reason for that, but I'm constantly going into these situations thinking, okay, I got a car now. The car can raise up and it can ride through water. So clearly I'm just going to take this car and my life is going to be easy. And what a reward for slogging through this game for 15 hours. And then you get the car and the car hits one rock, which you could have easily walked over. And it's like, no. and you're like, is that supposed to happen? Or is that like, is that intentional, or is that because I haven't invested in the shared infrastructure yet? And you never really know the answer to that question. Did you have that experience, Griffin?
I did. I think that's a really good call out there, saying that the vehicles just the dichotomy of the game of, is this intent or is this accident, that then it's like, oh, working as intended. The bug now equals the game.
Yeah. And
that is, I think that describes a lot of Death Stranding for worse, not for better. No, I should say for better, for worse. Like, there was some positive there, but you're absolutely right. Like, you get the vehicle, you presume you can move faster, complete your quests at a faster pace, but in reality, like, this is where it's tough, Jamie, because I don't want to jump in right now if you're not done.
No, I'm done. Go for it.
Okay.
Light it up.
I got to the point exactly
Wait,
where you are.
Let me ask my question real quick before you
Sure.
cogent. Is Keeley recurring or just a one-off?
Never saw
Never found that motherfucker.
Oh.
I'm not doing any of the side quests. I think if you
pre-order, recancel.
I think if you do any of the side quests in this game, you're truly
you're truly a monster.
Yeah.
Who just hates fun.
But I mean, you have to do certain of the quote unquote side quests. It's just like the game is like, hey, make this delivery. Did you like that? Well, you can make more. You can go to different locations and bring more places of the map online. Did you like that? And if you answer no, then I mean, you're going to continue to do it anyway through the game's forward progression. That's what the game is. It's fucking fetch quest, the game.
I just want Jeff Keighley to tell me I'm a super player.
I got to Conan O'Brien. I found Conan O'Brien.
Nice.
You don't have a choice on that one.
Did he make some jokes and japes, or did he play it straight?
Yeah, he made some jokes and it was kind of uncomfortable.
That's usually how it is with him, at least for me. And I love the guy.
Yeah, that's true. This feels very discordant. All right, say your thing, Griff. Sorry.
So Jamie, I'm. It's fascinating that you're at that same point. You're in the Midwest, and you presumably are building the road, and you got to the end of it, in which you then have the boss fight. Mm-hmm. I really, really like that part of the game. Like, that is where I was like, I get it. Like, I get you, game. I love it. I'm doing the running. I'm doing the fetch quest. This really sticks for me. Like, I know my routes. I know my most effective path to go through things. Like, I know this location. Like, it felt the same way to me in the way that, like, if I went and played WoW, I know how to get from. I know how to run beans. The dread mines. I know how to run dread mines. Like, it becomes old hat. It becomes practice. Like, you know this location in a video game, and you're like, okay, if I'm going to go explore something new, like, now I know I need to equip up, or I need to do this or that. Like, it becomes actually a really cool, fascinating game there. But then it's also like, hey, you should probably you can go back to the place you were before and continue to do that there too and build that out. But you don't have that reward of building that road. And then after you progress from where you're at right now, it's like, hey, did you like that road? Because there's more of it. Like, there's more of it.
As much of it as you want.
And at that point, they start introducing new mechanics that's like, hey, you know what was really, really cool and satisfying? Like, working hard to then create, like, a way to then obfuscate those hurdles of the impediment to movement. Well, how about you don't get that? And it's just fucking hard and annoying.
They take it away
and
from
worse.
You? What do they take away? I'm curious, and I don't care about being spoiled.
They don't take anything away. You have to go to a new location. That's there's no road, and there's no option for a road.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
And then
it gets worse. It's like fundamentally the gameplay gets worse. But that's the thing that, like, you're absolutely right. It's like a built-in Stockholm syndrome where you're like, this part was really cool. I love this. I just want to go back to fucking Midwest world and drive my fucking car around.
Yeah.
But then you get to a point, and I want to talk to you guys more about this if you ever play it or finish it or whatever. But, like, there's a point in which you complete the western side of the map, and I don't know if I did this right, but I don't know, Jeff. Maybe you want to. Well, I don't know. This is kind of a spoiler, but kind of not. It's a spoiler. You can handle it. Okay,
Probably.
So this is a spoiler. You get to Edge Knot City in the West Coast, right? You do a bunch of shit there. It's fucking insane. And then they're like, Sam, you've got to come back east. So you've done this journey from the east to the west, and now they're like, okay, you have to come back, right? So I'm like bracing myself. Okay, and this is a really cool moment where I'm like, okay, like, I know my routes. I hate the fucking ice world that I have to go through, but I know what I know my pathing in it. Like, I set up some infrastructure to help traverse the areas. I know this and that, and then if I could just make it to the Midwest zone, I can get back on the highway and I can get back to fucking Capital Knot City or whatever, and it'll be gravy.
Real quick, Griff. Do you have to take something back, or could you just fragile jump?
You cannot jump.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So I was like literally gearing up Norman to make this run, and then I, exit the party room, the hotel room, and there's like they say a thing in a cutscene that's just like, they're like, follow the beach, and it's weird as fuck. I would love to get your guys' thoughts on that when it happens. So I was like, follow the beach, huh? What if I just run the coast of this entire fucking country? And I did it. And I completely obfuscated all of the things that sucked, and that was like, hey, like, all these things that I've put together, like, all this activity that I've, like, all this infrastructure, all this stuff that I've learned, like I know the routes, I know this, I know that, and then I was just like, no, what if I just run around the edge of the map? And it was like, yeah, that worked.
Nice.
And it was fucking easy as shit too. And obviously other people did it too, because they're like, here's your recharge station, just keep on driving your motocycle.
I think
was it fun to do that, or was it just like, this is pointless?
That's where I think the game broke in a weird way for me, because it was like, I was like, I'm looking at this surmountable objective of like, hey, I hate this ice world. I'm ready to go back through it though. Like, I know what to do. This blows, but I'm ready to do it. And then I'm going to get to my beautiful Midwest land where there's roads, and then I can get and take those, head east. It's just a matter of time. And then, like, I was literally planning my route in my head and in my loadout and everything, and then it just dawned on me. I was like, oh, let's run the coast and see. Like, there has to be a thing that'll get in the way, and it didn't. And I was like, well, okay, game, like, I don't know if you intended for this to happen, or it just felt so strange. Where it's like the designers must have known that it sucked to do what you just did, and then to be able to completely walk around it, like that's not a bug. Like that's not something, because there's things there. There's things you had to deal with. It was just like, is this something that they intended? And also, like, why didn't I try that in the first place? Well, I mean, there's plenty of reasons, like because the game, you have to, go to certain locations to turn certain locations online, but it was just like, oh, Jesus, this is so weird.
You know what's really interesting is hearing you talk about that, and I don't want to change subjects this quick, but I just want to foreshadow that I feel like, oddly, a game that answers that question is another game that came out this year that would be my game of the year, except for the fact that Baba Is You came out this year, and that's the game of the decade. But the game that answers that question perfectly, and the game that struggled with that question in its first iteration, is Dragon Quest Builders 2. Because in Dragon Quest Builders 2, you're building places up, and then you have to leave. But you take what you've built with you back to your home, and you use those things to constantly make, like, your home the craziest place it can be. So these external islands that you go to in the game are almost like training grounds. You get into it and you get invested in what you're building, and you do build means of transportation. And in a lot of ways, it oddly feels like Death Stranding, except it's like immediate and super fun. And but then you take what you've tried on those kind of blank canvases, those like story-driven blank canvases, and you take it back to your home base. And I feel like that's a way that they could have navigated this, or maybe it wouldn't work in that formula, but it's just interesting that there are those parallels between those two games. But I didn't want to leave Death Stranding that quickly. The one thing I wanted to say is the combat is good. The shooting is fun to me. I thought so.
You can throw poo grenades.
It's fine.
Not against BTs, against people.
Okay.
It's easy. I mean, you're right, Jamie. It's not like it's not inhibitive in the way that, like, the traversal is. Like, the game's not being a deliberate asshole to you about it when you're in combat. There's ways to mitigate, like, big groups coming at you, or a lot of fist fight stuff, or they give you a lot of tools to make that accessible, and by no means is it like in that game. I was surprised. I had no problem, like, rolling into camp and just fucking up a bunch of mercenaries.
Yeah, and I think and it's fun. Like, they give you these ridiculous weapons, and
do you get a rocket fist?
No, the first
no
weapon.
Sale.
The first weapon, the first gun you get, like, is literally just like you're hog tying people. And it's so stupid, and I love it. But it's fun. And
do they have the sound gun from Minority Report?
Yes. It's just
do they really?
It's just Tom Cruise screaming.
Yeah, it kind of peaks at the bolo gun, honestly.
Yeah.
I think that the shared DNA between Builders and Death Stranding is they're both tedium games. They're both games about doing tedious things.
The thing, though, that's not having played Dragon Quest Builders with Death Stranding is this is where I do think that if everything was deliberately chosen by Kojima to elicit a feeling through gameplay, it's a masterpiece.
Yeah.
But it's a masterpiece in which it's like you guys kind of nailed it on the head. Like, you are going through the microwave hallway for a lot of time to then exit it and be like, breath of fresh air, this feels good. Or, oh, it's all worth something. It's all worth this. Or, oh, I know why this was happening like this for this reason now, in terms of gameplay. Mm-hmm. In terms of story, it's fucking stupid as shit. Like, there's, again, towards the back half of that game, after you get to the West Coast, like, things... mechanics that didn't make a lot of sense suddenly make sense for a really interesting payout that I thought was really cool and put a lot of tension on me, and I thought it was really good design, very smart design. But again, like most of the game, does it respect the player? Does it respect the player's time? No, it doesn't. It's that like old school Kojima thing of like, I want to build a game that when you die, the game self-destructs and you have to buy a new one. Like that felt like that was what he came into this thing being like, fuck you, fuck your time, fuck your happiness and your fun factors and everything. Like, you're going to go on my brutal journey.
Yeah.
It's so funny. I played this game. I was on night shift, and when I'm on night shift, we work 12-hour shifts, and then you're kind of awake when everyone else is asleep. And I have to maintain that schedule because I'm not the kind of person that can like shift back and forth. So I played this game after coming home from 12-hour shifts to a cold house that nobody was awake in. And even on the weekend, when I was awake, no one else was awake. And it was kind of perfect because I was feeling like crap already. And then you go into this game and the music is so somber. And the environments are beautiful, but they're just it all looks like Ireland. Somehow the United States became Ireland, and it's just raining all the time, and
it's like
mossy.
Is there.
Yeah,
and like the imagery and the sound design of the sound design of the game is shockingly good and beautiful and just haunting. If you just think of the sounds that you hear, Griffin, when you're creeping through a BT area, you've got your little backpack buddy bleeping. And you're trudging through the mud, and you hear the rain. Like it was so oddly, it was a horrible experience. But in the moment, it was like I felt like I was experiencing something that games haven't done. And I think that when people do talk effusively about this game, I think that's what they're talking about. It is a unique experience.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Jamie. It's. I listen to podcasts while I play a lot of video games, and this is like a prime candidate. But until I got to like the Midwest and I got my roads built, like I didn't have headphones in because I felt like I needed to listen to the sounds. And those music cues were really cool, and having the artist and track name pop up on screen while you're, trudging your stupid awkwardly shifting backpack across the plains was made for really cool moments. Like the game has a fuck ton of moments that are very powerful, and ones that are of player agency too, not just like set pieces. Like I could tell you about dozens of times where it's cool shit happened, and especially in that back half of the game. Like once you get to the West Coast, like that's where things really started popping off for me. But again, it was because I had to go through so much fucking misery on the first roll through, and you're like, okay, I get you, game. I get what you're trying to do. And again, it's like, is that payoff worth that? And I would argue, no, it isn't.
Yeah, I'm increasingly feeling like if I need to invest a significant amount of my time and energy, like I don't know,
it is not worth it. It is absolutely not worth it.
I don't know if the TDM genre as a whole is for me. Like I say that as a person who enjoys certain kinds of TDM, but like that particular type, I don't know. I should probably try and see. If
you avoid this game, you are going to miss some of the most baffling moments of storytelling in a game that you
are. Oh, Jamie, you have no idea.
I'm going to spoil something else. I just need Jeff to respond to this. So there's a point in the game where who's the actor who plays the bad guy, the gold-faced bad guy, not Mads.
Troy Baker.
Okay, so there's a point in the game after which you've met Troy Baker and you know that he's hilariously bad. He's just a bad dude. There's a point in the game where he sneaks into one of the distribution centers.
Oh, God.
Not dressed in his normal black and gold outfit. He's dressed as someone who works there. And but
the only time you've ever met anybody that works anywhere ever.
Exactly. And it's clearly him. Like the face is him. He's trying to he's wearing like a baseball cap and he's trying to like block his face.
Keep his head down.
But
wearing a baseball cap is didn't Phoenix Wright wear a baseball cap when he was in disguise? It's like the ultimate Japan disguise.
Yeah, he gives you a bunch of hamburgers.
But anyway, so it's clearly him, and Norman Reedus is like, "Oh, nice to meet you," and then he's like, "Why don't you take this package to this city for me?" And you're like, "Okay, sounds good." And you take it, and in your inventory, it says that it's a nuclear bomb. In your inventory.
After the game has so heavily handedly said, like, hey, this guy's an asshole and he just gave me a nuke to go blow up the city. He's a dick. And then it's like, okay, it just happened to you.
Yeah.
And you're right. It's like...
They give you the bomb, and then the game says, a good character in the game says, okay, time to go to that city that other guy also said you should go to. So I'm like...
gotta make that delivery.
I'm like, okay, this is really weird. Okay, I'll take this nuke, and that I clearly know is a nuke, and Sam knows it's a nuke because it says it's a nuke.
I don't know if Sam knows it's a nuke.
and you take
Sam
it,
doesn't read his inventory markers.
You take it to the city, and if you do this, which I did several times, if you take it to the city, it just explodes, and it says game over. And I was like, what? Where am I supposed to do with this?
Jamie, let me tell you. That is a prelude to much worse things that happen.
Now
Not
I have
story-wise,
to go.
but gameplay-wise.
That moment, I
They're
could
like,
not
hey,
believe.
did you like the nuke mission? How about 3 more of those?
Wait,
man.
there's fake missions galore.
Yeah.
There's nuke missions where they're like, hey, you got to take this nuke to this location. And if you get bumped, you explode.
Oh no!
No.
Oh no!
Yeah, it's the worst. It's absolutely the worst. The game is just like, Jimmy, I'm telling you, once you move beyond the Midwest, you thought the Midwest was complicated. You moved to the Rockies. It's just like, yo, get wrecked. Like, I hope you like Death Stranding because Death Stranding's here to fuck you up.
And then I love the best part. I forgot the answer to the whole nuke problem is you instead of taking the nuke to the city, you take the nuke 5 minutes outside of the city and you throw it in the water, and then it goes off in the water. Everything's cool.
But I love too that it's like teaching you a new mechanic where it's like, and this is how you throw.
Yeah.
Wait, you get exposed to dirty bomb radiation or no?
No.
You're already dead, basically.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
That's true. You can blow up and go to a special dead person beach, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can drink your fucking monsters or your time pilsners or whatever.
Well, it's explained in the story that another spoiler. Sorry, it's explained in the story that Sam cannot die. That's like one of his defining features.
I don't think that's a spoiler. I think that's pretty.
That was like pretty
Common,
well
yeah.
enumerated in there.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So, like, in one way, it kind of takes the pressure off you. In another way, I mean, if we're going to talk about rules and stakes in a game that I don't think respects either, but I still can't get those out of my brain, there's just no stakes whatsoever.
Jamie, how many void outs have you had happen to your character? How many times have you died in Death Stranding?
Once.
Okay.
Yeah. Did you have a lot?
I had 2.
2.
When you void out, does it like make a crater where you void out?
That's a very good question, Jeff, and that's because I think that's where the game is bullshit, and that if you do get in your BT battle, right, there's a thing that happens where you get drug very quickly through a landscape that at a flashing pace, and you then arrive at a different location where then you're engaged with the BT boss, and if you die to it, then the void out happens, and there's now a crater, and you can't return there. And the thing is, it doesn't fucking matter. So like, it's just like, okay, it's not like now in terms of gameplay, this route that I was really I felt really good about it. Like, now I don't have that anymore. Or there's a population over here, or there's a quest giver that I can no longer engage with. Like, no, the gameplay reason why you get drug around to this like location is because this location is unimportant and it can get blown out of the map. So
I see.
The stakes are incredibly low.
The void out areas are like predetermined. It would be fine if this area blew up. Areas.
Exactamundo, yes.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yes, but the void outs in the game's defense, like the BT fights and the void outs are very stressful. Like it creates some pretty intense anxiety. Like there's a fight that happens later that I was like wanting to throw up at, but
just getting dragged into the so when they start dragging at you, the environment changes in an amazing way that I haven't seen in any other game, and it really is like a sickening experience. It's like,
Have you had the gold tar creatures yet, Jamie?
no, not yet.
Yeah, that's a game changer right there.
Ugh. The thing is, like, I know it won't be fun. I know it will suck, but like I feel like I want to keep going. Like the fact that they give me another stupid nuke and tell me if I get bumped, it goes off. I'm kind of like, hell yeah.
So the last thing that I want to say about the game is, and you touched on it earlier, is like that shared infrastructure, that shared network is, there's a game mechanic behind that. Like, there are people in the world of Death Stranding who have built all the roads and have made it the easiest, most accessible way to get through the landscape because of the tools the game provides. However, the game will not let you access those things because of your quote-unquote rating, and your rating like goes up as you finish missions and whatnot. So if the game truly was this shared experience, then everybody would be able to just zip line from east to west, no problems, no questions asked, and the game still does this like measured
meted out.
Yeah, of the interactions with the other people in the Stranding community. So it's not truly a Stranding game where you're making connections because the game purposefully inhibits you, so you have to have the difficulty.
And literally the first time through an area, you will not have any of those structures by design.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Yeah, that's a very good point. Even when you go back through it, you won't have the things that you wish you had had. But I think that when I didn't know that, I was having a really cool time. And I like that design work, and I really wish that and I don't know if this is the case because after I finished it, I was like, goodbye. If you go back to it, if everything just kind of unlocks and it's like, yo, have it all. Like, it's just fucking zip lines for days. I don't know if that's what happens. But
it just makes me think, this makes me think that you need to go to the Switch store and get Dragon Quest Builders and have that be your reward for suffering through this game, because honestly, Dragon Quest Builders takes, and I don't think Dragon Quest Builders is a tedium game. Dragon Quest Builders does so many things to just make it like a creativity game that has just the slightest bit of tedium, but the reward for that tedium is so immense compared to the amount of tedium that you're put through.
Sure.
Dragon Quest Builders is the kind of game where you'll start building something because the game will very smartly lead you to believe, oh, this would be fun, or this would be really cool if I could build this now. And then the game will just be like, you know what? There's some townspeople here. They're just going to help you build it. They're just going to build it for you, with you right now. That thing that you want, it's done. It's already there. You wanted a Minecraft minecart, roller coaster down into the deepest part of this mine. Well, everyone's already built it for you, and it's super cool. And if you want to change it around, you can, but it's there.
Everyone as in like the NPCs, or
yeah, the NPCs.
The townsfolk will help you build stuff.
Oh, so it's not that then. It's like
you
the
still have to
game is
gather
saying.
the materials though.
You do not. You have to gather some of them, and then they will gather others.
Okay, that didn't come from the demo.
It's a brilliant game, and honestly,
Okay.
yeah.
Before you go too far into DQ2, DQB2, Death Stranding.
My favorite Korean band, by the way.
Death Stranding, number 10 on my list. It deserves to be on the Game of the Year for me because I had feelings for it. I thought it was powerful. I think there were great moments. I think that there was some brilliance behind the design, but also fuck that game. And Jamie, I really hope the fact that you're at the point where you're at, I hope you continue through it and you get to the end. So I would love to have a conversation with you about your thoughts at that, through the Rockies and then from the West Coast back to the East Coast and then the fucking extra 20 hours that happens after that. And Jeff, don't play this fucking trash.
Don't play it. That's what your recommendation is?
Don't play it.
Okay. I mean, I do love Kojima, even though he's horrible.
Yeah.
Wait until this is on PlayStation Plus and then play it.
I'm going to probably wait till it's on
No,
PC.
it's not even worth, it's not the dollars. It's the time investment.
Okay.
And the stress and the misery and...
I'm already not looking for that kind of experience right now. So
Yeah.
that tells me what I need to know.
Don't do it.
Maybe I'll borrow it from someone and try like 3 hours of it and see if I can handle it.
Can I gift you a digital copy?
Jeff, the thing is, like, unless you play it all the way through, it's not going to mean anything.
Because if you don't beat a game, you can't have an opinion about it.
Yeah, okay, all right. Good one, dude. But I truly think in this situation, you will get a superficial experience of the game that will be shitty.
Okay.
And any positivity that you could glean from it is going to be... It'll be superficial. It'll be, I like the mechanics.
Yeah. I'm in no rush, but maybe over the summer if I'm feeling really spicy.
All right.
Or just play Dragon Quest Builders.
I don't...
Jimmy...
enjoy the demo.
I don't want to play Dragon Quest Builders 2, but you're making it sound good.
It's
play the demo, Griff.
Very good. No, I mean, play the demo.
What if I didn't like Dragon Quest Builders 1 because I thought it was boring as fuck?
Well...
That's how I felt.
Okay, so first of all, the biggest issues that with 1, according to people like Jason Schreier, they've addressed. I didn't play 1, and from what I hear, 1 sounds like a slog, and I wasn't really interested in that. If you play the demo to 2, it's going to be a little bit boring because it's truly that Japanese thing of like, this is how you pick up a block. This is how you put a block down. And the characters talk way too much. And it's just going to... The first hour is boring as
what if I don't enjoy any of the building portions of it?
I mean, if... I honestly, I had so much fun with this game that I don't believe that that's possible. Like, I don't believe that a person could not, if you ever put a Lego together and felt some sense of something, I just don't understand it.
That was really funny.
What happened?
It was just, we both laughed at it's not possible.
What if I didn't like Dragon Quest Builders, any of it, any of the mechanics, any of the building, anything?
Listen, if anyone tells you that they're not enjoying it, they're lying. And you need to just love it.
I'm sorry for lying to you, Griff.
Oh, shit. Same here. I actually love it.
Wait, what?
I can't admit it. I can't admit it, though.
It's your game of the year.
That's literally where my brain, obviously
Jamie's
I
not
know,
alone, though. People have extolled the virtues of this game.
Obviously I know that that's a ridiculous sentiment to have, but honestly, that's where my brain goes. Like when Jeff says that I didn't enjoy it, my brain is like, well, there's something wrong with him.
I mean, that's a given, but
what makes it different from like a Minecraft?
Well, I hate Minecraft. I don't know. I mean, I would say...
I enjoyed Minecraft for a long time.
Yeah, what's wrong with Minecraft, dude?
I got like a good 3 months out of that game.
I tried to play Minecraft many, many times. I tried to get into it with one of my med school friends back in the day had a private server. They were super into it. I tried so hard. I hated that game, and I think the reason is because that there was no story behind it, and it wasn't a guided experience. This has 3 separate super Japanese weird Dragon Quest-y stories that are I think are good, and they guide your building, and there's a purpose to your building. And to me, it's the perfect balance between you having to build certain structures and do certain things for story reasons, and the game also giving you the leeway to kind of within that go like hog wild and just build whatever you want and really tailor those places to your own like vision of what like what a mine would look like or what a farm would look like. And then you take all of these things that you learn building these things for story reasons, and you take them back to your kind of home base. And then that just becomes this like crazy theme park of just an amalgam of things that you've learned at these various locales. And I think it's a perfect way to get someone who likes, when I buy a lot of Legos, I follow the directions. I don't build my own, Legos. I enjoy following the directions and coming out with something that's pretty cool. And I think this game does that really well, and then kind of very naturally nudges you into the, okay, now go be creative. And it was super rewarding. And maybe I just needed it at that time. Like my job can be pretty tedious in and of itself sometimes. And I felt like it truly was kind of like a creative endeavor. Like it was tickling that part of my brain. And maybe that's just what I needed. I don't know. I love the game though.
I think my problem is anytime that a game tasks me with being creative, I'm like, nah. No, really, I'm like, nah, I don't want to.
I'll tell you what my problem is. I don't like Dragon Quest. I don't like Minecraft. So, peace out.
Dragon Quest is real good, though.
No, it's not.
Play it on Switch. It's a heck of a game.
It is. I agree.
Yeah, Jamie,
Jamie
I'm
likes
sorry.
it.
Like, Jamie, that's awesome. We got to move on to other stuff because there's a million other
Let's do it.
games to talk about.
Who next?
You want me to, I'll talk about something. Hey, let's talk
Go
about
for it.
Bloodstained. I want to just like visit that real quick because we haven't gone there. You played it on Switch, right, Griff?
Yep, and I fucked up.
Yeah, you sure did. I mean, to be clear, I also fucked up, and then I bought it again.
This. So I'll get this out right here. This was the year that I have more games that I've finished from start to finish, completed the game, that are not in anywhere close to my top 10, and I would say absolutely go get wrecked because it's trash, than any other year. Like, it's weird looking at my list and saying, like, I have more games on here ever in the past that I have not finished that I say are great, opposed to the amount of games that I have finished that said, don't do this.
This is the thing about Bloodstained. Bloodstained on the Switch, and I feel insane saying this, but Bloodstained on Switch is like, don't play that game, it's awful. And Bloodstained on PC is like a revelation. Like
absolutely,
it's
yes.
still a mess in certain ways, but it is so much nicer.
It's a fantastic game. It's a phenomenal game.
Yeah,
there's no question about that. Just do not play it on the Switch.
Yeah, it's like actually beautiful on PC. Like again, it is extremely jank and unpolished in certain areas, but it is a worthy successor to Dawn of Souls, and what was the other one called? What are the Soul games? Help
what's
me out
that?
Here. The GBA game?
Dawn
Aria
of
of Sorrow.
Sorrows? Aria of
Yeah,
Sorrows?
Dawn of Sorrow and Aria of Sorrow. Yeah. It has those Soden vibes. It's the bosses are hard in a good way. Mm-hmm.
There's weird
scratches the
shit.
itch. It's weird. There's a fucking cat with horns that shoots fireballs.
The first boss
yeah.
is a weird lady with tentacles. I'm into
the
it.
first boss is not so great. I don't love her.
There's a boss that you can defeat really easily if you don't have any money.
Yeah.
What?
And you can turn upside down and just stand on the roof.
So it sounds like you guys are pretty. I bought this game on PC. I played it a little bit, and I liked what I saw. I didn't play a lot of it. I don't know why. Should I keep going? It sounds like you guys are pretty hot on it.
I think it's a fantastic
Absolutely.
game.
Play
I
it.
think
It's
is
fantastic.
The best Castlevania in years.
Oh,
You
yeah.
have to like specifically like Igavania though. Like it is a genre unto itself. And I think the best parts of the game are like it has the kind of tedium I like. Like I enjoy grinding out souls or shards or whatever.
I did too.
It's actually not too bad in that game either. The drop rates are reasonable.
Right.
I enjoy the weird quirky shit. Like Griff, did you find the weird thing on the train?
Probably not.
Okay, there was a weird thing on the train. Also, fuck that entire segment, though.
The train? Yeah.
It was very unintuitive. Like, you need a guide to play certain parts of this game because it is not... There are just very obtuse moments. Like, remember you have to get the anti-spike armor?
Oh, fuck, yeah.
There is no way I was ever going to do that on my own.
Yeah.
And
No,
explored
I did play the
everything.
game with a guide at certain points because it was like, what do you want me to do next?
Yeah, you need a guide. It's unfortunate, but... you definitely need a guide, but just the experience of that game. The bosses are phenomenal. The David Hayter is campy and great. The giant enemies are just goofy. There's so much goofy shit on that game, and I love it. I'm here for all of it.
I agree. I had a great time playing with it. I like the food fetch quest. Like, oh, I just remember this warm bread with this delicious creamy cheese on top of it.
What do you call a bowl with a creamy liquid inside of it? You give her soup. Oh yes, I remember now. Soup.
Yeah, but much like the Death Stranding conversation we just had, like some of those story beats are dumb as fuck.
Oh yeah, the story is idiotic. Like I don't understand the motivation of any of the villains, but I also don't care. It also does that thing where you fight human-sized villains who are like weird because like the combat in that game is not really designed for human-sized villains.
Sure.
So like it just feels kind of awkward and jank in a way that's surprisingly endearing. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do. Yes.
Yeah.
The
Like Zangetsu and the beard dude. Oh,
Yeah.
That beard dude fight, like, I simultaneously think is really cool and hate it to death. But it's
agreed.
exactly what it needs to be.
Yep. And it was also, it's like doing the 3D thing. You're like, what the fuck? Like, what?
Yeah.
Why is this here?
But
And
it's somehow it works. It all tracks for me. Like, even the weird ass rapping map that like doesn't quite make sense. I'm
Right.
into it. I love it all.
I think it's like that. It's like a virus, and that it's like, have you ever played Symphony of the Night?
Yeah.
And it's like, and now it like makes that DNA connection and innervates that like that virus in your body, and you're like, oh no, I've got to get all the shards. I've got to power this up to level 9.
Yeah,
And
the Pokemon, man. When they put Pokemon in Castlevania, that's when they got you, man. Like, that's how.
Yeah.
It's a perfect
You're
formula.
absolutely. Yes, it is. It absolutely is.
And I don't know why. Like, by all accounts, like, there are parts of that game where you're like, this is not like, there's nothing happening here that is particularly like beat by beat amazing. Like, I think the map design is
I was
cool.
never compelled to complete the game, except that I was like, well, I guess I got to do this.
Yeah. But for some reason, that's enough. And I think that the map design is interesting. Like, I think there's some cool secrets, but it's not like the best map in a Metroidvania I've ever played.
No, by no means, no.
But something about it, it really rises above. It is greater than the sum of its parts. Like, it is ramshackle in a lot of ways, but it wears its heart on its sleeve, and it actually surpassed my expectations in a huge way. Like,
It really goes big in certain times too, where it's like, that tower thing was weird as shit, and probably took a lot of resources, and it was terrible, but also like, that was cool.
But that's what's so good about it. It's like, there are secret areas in that tower, and the whole inverting the world thing was freaking awesome.
Isn't that like
I
an
love that.
Igavania trope, the upside down thing?
Yes, it's used in a slightly different way in this game. You just can turn any room upside down that you want.
Whoa, when do you get that?
Around the midway point of the game. It's very well hidden. Oh wait, no, the turning upside down part is not well hidden, but progression after that becomes almost impossible if you don't have a guide.
Right.
But again,
Yes.
somehow it's okay. And I actually learned through the speedrun that you do not need that item to progress. It is
Interesting.
possible to progress without it. Very difficult, but possible.
Is this going to be? Isn't one of the Games Done Quick things coming up soon? Is this going to be one of the big games there?
I think it's a good speedrun game.
I could see it
Yeah.
for sure. But yeah, I like this game quite a bit, Jeff. It's not on my list because my experience was absolutely miserable.
Well, yeah, because you played the
Switch
beta
version
of the game, yeah.
Yeah.
The
But
redheaded
no,
stepchild.
I'm 100% on board with that being a highly recommended game. Like, Jamie, if you have it and you haven't played it, like, absolutely go through it and see if it hooks you.
It's like the big dumb Japanese Kickstarter from the person who maybe you shouldn't trust that somehow actually worked. Like, that is my take on the saga of Bloodstained.
I
Like,
loved
this
I
should have
loved
failed.
it. I loved what I played of it, and I thought even that the weird movement, because I have no history with the Castlevania games. I was the guy who like picked up a Castlevania game, whether it be at a friend's house for the NES or the SNES, and just thought like, wow, this feels horrible. Like, the movement in this feels so stupid. Why is this like this?
Yeah, you're
It's
not
weirdly
wrong.
stilted. It's like, it kind of feels like the character is flowing along the environment rather than walking.
We have to make sure the feet and legs connect appropriately.
But when
With the ground.
I picked this up, I immediately thought, wow, this is really cool. So I'll definitely go through it eventually. I don't know why. It must have been another game or something. But yeah, and on PC, you probably already said this, but on PC it looks amazing. It looks
gorgeous.
great.
Yeah. I would say that I've been a pretty big fan since the GBA days. Like, that formula of the soul absorption is like absolutely one of my favorite games. And the fact that they were able to recapture that magic, even if it was like in many ways a complete mess, I loved it. So
Yep.
happy that game existed.
Agree. It's very good.
Yeah.
All right, next up.
Hit us, Griff.
Hit me.
One of mine.
Yes.
Okay, let me see what's on my list here. So we talked about Death Stranding. So to go in decreasing chronological order, I have Sayonara Wild Hearts.
Love that game.
As my ninth game
Just
on my
bought
list.
that game
So
for
good.
Switch.
Yeah,
I'm
I
really
bought it
excited
on
to play
Switch and
Why are you?
played it through.
No, Apple Arcade, bros. Do you guys not have? No, dude, it's good.
I don't want to.
Dude.
Yeah, I accidentally signed up for it to play What the Golf, and I don't want to be a part of that shit.
Really?
My iPad's been dead for I'm going to say about 5 months, and I've never bothered to charge it. So why?
Also, I have enough subscription services in my life.
Yo, if you're an Apple F-boy like me, not only can you play it on your phone, you can play it on your iPad, you can play it on your 16-inch MacBook Pro.
Yeah, but can I tell you something? I really like the Switch.
Agree.
It's a fun console.
I love the Switch.
It's nice.
I love the
It's got
Switch.
some-
But you
it's
know
got
what's
some
also
great
cool
buttons.
is using an Xbox One controller with your iPad or
No.
your MacBook. That's cool. It's
No,
2019.
The Switch is cute and small, and has buttons on it.
Yeah, well, get this. The Switch has like a 7-inch screen, and the MacBook Pro has a 16-inch screen. So
Love it.
you
So
do the math.
best way
You
to
know what
play
has a
is
bigger
720p.
screen? Your home TV that you can dock your Switch into.
No, dog. Native 720p is the best way to play. In the palm of your hands. Switch Lite, baby.
So Sayonara Wild Hearts is, when I was putting my list together, this is one of the things I was like, oh, this is like my pivot point. Like, this is maybe 5 or 6 for me. And then the more that I re-looked at my list and reevaluated everything, I was like, no, this is good music. This is not a good game. Not that it's not a bad game. I really enjoyed the experience, but it's like the gameplay mechanics and like the game design of the product is not the thing that needs to be extolled. It's the journey, it's the music, and it's how those things kind of intertwined, like the light storytelling. It was really cool. I had a great time with it, and it's a thing where it's like, yeah, Sayonara Wild Hearts is cool as shit. But has it been done before plenty of times? Absolutely. Was it done really well here? Yes, absolutely. And that's pretty much it.
When has it been? I'm not arguing. I'm just curious. When has it been done before? Because I can't think of
A
anything.
rhythm music game?
No, like this. Like, I mean, I've played plenty of games like, Audio Surf and stuff like that. And what's the game that came out last year? Your little beetle Thumper. So those come to mind. But I actually think, and I'm with you, man. I don't think this is like gameplay wise. I don't think it's going to break new ground. But I feel like it is pretty unique in terms of the presentation.
I think like Elite Beat Agents and its
Yeah.
ilk are similar.
That's where I was
in
going.
terms of the fusion of like weird stories and gameplay. But I think Elite Beat is very mechanically focused. This might be a game that leans more in the narrative direction.
Griff,
or the
did you-
art direction.
Even that, I don't think it is, because it's like the narrative is still on track. It feels like there's more narrative, but it doesn't mean that it's more narrative focused.
Well, maybe it's more design focused and less mechanically focused, though.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I
Which
feel
think
like
makes it a little unique.
I feel like it didn't dissemble about the degree of interactivity there was. Like, I feel like you, or at least I knew pretty early on, I'm like, okay, this is minimally interactive. It's quite simple, and it's mainly a music video. And I still, so it definitely doesn't have that Elite Beat Agents level of challenge. But
Yeah.
I think because it telegraphed to me that that's what it was, I didn't come away from it thinking, well, it's not such a strong game, because I kind of knew going in, almost like a Telltale game. I was like, well,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna. There's not gonna be a whole lot of me actually playing. If that
Yeah,
makes
I mean,
sense.
I think I found it interesting that you chose that kind of like that was your take, Griff, because it's like sometimes a game doesn't really have to be gamey to work.
No,
Like, you know what I mean? Like it.
Yeah.
Maybe your take was just that the music was good and it could have stood alone. But if
Yeah.
the interactivity added even anything, that I don't think it needs to be like good on its own. It just needs to be good in the context of the package. But it's your list,
Sure.
So, yeah.
No. And what I'm saying is, like, I bumped it further down my list because, and I apologize if I could pull up a list right now of all the music game stuff, I would probably have more examples. Like, I'm immediately thinking like, the thing, like, what's the guy that's like
Bit
the
Trip?
black silhouette?
Yes,
Bit
Trip Runner.
Yes, that kind of comes to mind when I'm playing it, just through a different perspective. But yeah, it's a cool game. It's a fun game. It does what it does well.
Sure.
But I don't think, and again, novelty shouldn't be shouldn't be something that is like a critical factor in game design, but I find it was, and in this case I was like, yeah, this is neat. But
if I could piggyback just to keep the conversation rolling, do you have more you want to say about Sayonara, Griff?
Absolutely not. No, go for it.
Another rhythm game that I really enjoyed this year was Cadence of Hyrule. Did you guys get a chance to play that game?
Yeah, I loved it.
I didn't play it, but I've listened to a ton of music from it.
Music is amazing. It's one of those things where, like, I looked at Crypt of the Necrodancer and I was like, this looks cool. And I bought it, for PC, and played it. And I was like, this is not accessible. It's a little irritating. It doesn't... It's not really welcoming me in. And I think putting the Zelda... Like, getting my Zelda peanut butter in your Crypt of the Necrodancer chocolate was like...
Getting your Nintendo on.
Yeah, was what that series needed to, like, bring it to life. And I had an absolute blast playing that game. It was... I think the fact that, like, there were, like, discrete challenges and dungeons added to that formula spiced it up. The bosses were super cool. It had an interesting element of, like, breakability. Like, there was traversal that was very Zelda-esque within the context of this, like, dungeon crawling rhythm game. Like, you could get Zelda items, there were pits to cross, there were frozen blocks to clear. But, like, you could get weird items like hover boots that could help you, like, kind of game those systems. So it had, like, a little bit of, like, a cheaty feel. And it was a tough game in terms of, like it was unforgiving insofar as, like, you had to keep the beat and, like, coming to grips with the world was tough. Like, you get killed a lot in the beginning, but once you, like, get into the flow state, it's incredible.
Cool.
I thought it was one of the weirdest difficulty curves I've ever experienced in a game where I still came away really enjoying it and finding it rewarding, because I agree with you. You feel like you're bashing your head against a wall for a good portion of the early game, and then something clicks. And then you almost feel like you're way too powerful. You're
like a god, but there are still challenge points.
And even so, even when you're a god, it's still like a great time. It didn't get stale for me. I haven't beaten it, but I've made a significant, of the way through, and I really like it.
I think what speaks to the way the difficulty works in that game is that you can be a god and then things can go south really quickly. So, like, there is still... The fail state is still very potent in that, like, it could come up at any moment. But I definitely agree with you, Jamie. It's like the difficulty curve is, like, this is impossible. And then it's like, okay, I've understood this. I can wrap my head around it. I am now in the flow state, and it feels incredible.
Yeah,
and the music
definitely
is amazing, and the Zelda items are... Again, I don't know why Zelda seems to lend itself well to weird third-party collaborations, but it does. Those items, like, there's something in the symbols and the mechanics of that series transposes well to other contexts, and it works surprisingly well in a rhythm game. So, high recommendation for me.
Definitely, same here.
That's all.
Yep.
That's all.
Jamie, what do you got?
Baba Is You is the best game.
Wait. Before you go to Baba Is You. So I know we're about an hour in at this point. And just in case, we're out of practice and people are getting sleepy and exhausted, I think we should probably take it to the ultimate level right now.
We're gonna just say real.
Let's do the best game ever, just in case anybody crashes or anything at this point.
Best game ever.
Yeah.
Well,
sure.
Best game of the year. I mean, I'm saying, like, Jamie, you're already talking about Baba Is You. We haven't talked about Control. Jeff,
like the upper echelon. Let's move over to the top tier shit.
Yeah, let's stop building up. Let's kick it.
Okay.
Well, Baba Is You is my game of the year for sure.
Yes.
So Celeste is Celeste. Control is incredible. One of my favorite games of all time. But I think Baba Is You beats it out. And I don't have much to say. Like, there really isn't much to say, except for the fact that when I look back on this year, I'm going to remember doing my first PAX panel and sitting in that stupid Yotel room with the purple lighting and the Baba Is You music is playing and we're just staring at that screen, and there's something about that game that makes it so that you can stare at an unmoving screen for 2 hours and not know the answer, and that's okay. I don't know why that game does that so well.
So I recently gifted Baba Is You to a friend, and I wrote a little blurb about it, just like kind of hype the game up without saying what it was. And I was like, you know that feeling where like something just looks impossible and then you solve it and you feel like an actual genius? I was like, Baba Is You does that, and then it's like, no, that solution you just came up with, that doesn't work, and now you need to do it again. And then you do it again, and your head explodes.
Constantly.
I think that's a great point, Jeff. A lot of games have Baba Is You moments. Like, it's like, oh, I get you, game. I understand your mechanics. And then it upends the tea table, and you're like, oh, I didn't expect it to do that.
Yeah.
But every level is that in Baba Is You.
I was going to say, take that, do it 200 times, and sustain it in a way that isn't infuriating.
Yeah.
With
Now, see, that's where I disagree.
I think that Baba Is You has wonderful thinking music. It has like it's devious.
I agree completely.
In the way that it like allows you to I think that the concept of using language to create rules for a puzzle game is so fascinating and so open to like brain explosions. Like I don't even want to spoil the ways in which that game will break your brain. Because,
and I feel like just real quick, I don't want to derail you. I want you to keep going, but I just wanted to say, I'm worried that this isn't going to be the kind of thing that we're going to see again. Much like how I don't feel like anyone's really taken the lessons that they could have learned from Breath of the Wild and applied them anywhere else, except for maybe Outer Wilds. But
or Death Stranding.
But I feel like we're never going to see this again. But anyway, go on, Jeff. I'm sorry.
I was going to say the coolest thing that for me about Baba Is You is it's a game that like if you like attending to elements in games, like this is a game where everything matters more than you could ever know. Like you will open the game and look at the game world and be like, that's weird. And then 20 hours later, you'll be like, oh my God. That thing that I thought was just weird is actually super important. And
is that 20 hours later because it took you that amount of time to sleep on it and think about it, or you're playing the game for 20 hours and now you understand it?
So it's something that reveals itself to you later in the progression of the game because there is a loose progression, like you unlock worlds. But the progression of the game, again, without getting too spoilery, becomes a meta progression. Literally. Like insofar as there are worlds with names like Meta.
I need to talk to you about this game offline because I want to know more. And I will never... so I'll get my bit in here right now is Baba Is You, I was telling you guys offline that Baba Is You is on my list and very highly ranked. For me, it is number 4 in the top 5. I think it's one of the most impactful games this year. I think it's very powerful. I didn't finish it, and I don't want to play any more of it because it hurts my dumb brain.
It hurts your brain. It hurts your brain real bad. I did all the puzzles, and it hurt me.
If I had unlimited time and I wanted, I got everything else done that I wanted to get done, I would go back to it, but I don't. Oops, shit.
It's a game that somehow manages to have zero stakes, but make you feel like it's worthwhile to discover its secrets. That's
I agree.
Thing about that game. It's like secrets for the sake of secrets. For me. Not everyone might feel that way.
I don't know if I feel that way, but again, it's my dumb brain.
We'll get to Griff. I'll tell you the offline.
Yes, that's what I want to know. Like, what is it? What makes it elevate to that crazy meta level?
It does it in a way. And I think something else I really like about Baba Is You is that it is like
no spoilers.
No, I won't spoil it.
Okay.
Throughout, as it's blowing your mind, it is so exceedingly humble in doing that. Like a game like Braid, like what's his name?
Very self-important.
Jonathan Blow.
Yeah, he can't resist putting some poetry in there, right? Like he can't resist like getting fancy with it, like making you watch a scene of a princess being captured or whatever.
Yep.
We're talking about nuclear war. This game is just like, we're just puzzles.
Right.
It's like it's puzzles, dog.
But it's somehow
solve
more
the puzzle, get some more puzzles.
But
where's the bottle of pee?
But it is more profound than Braid could ever be.
Because it's like language is profound. Like language is powerful. I don't know. It it does a really wonderful job of like elevating its mechanic on its own. That's all I have to say about that.
Yes, agree 100%. I'm right there with you. Well, again, like I would say it's a thing that I would never normally put on my list because I didn't finish it and I thought it was, again, not to bring up Death Stranding, but like it's difficult, it's challenging, and it in not a way that it's like, oh, the game ain't fun. Where's my fun factor? It is fun because it is rewarding, and but it's also like in the world of like, does the problem solving speak to you in a way that you want to bash your head against a wall to make very minor progress and then feel really good about that progress, but then see the mountain above you just ever increasing?
Yeah. The nice thing is like it's discrete challenges. Like it's, you know, like a puzzle solution is never going to be like 8,000 moves. Like it might be a little tedious, but it is still a one room puzzle.
Yeah.
So
it's a great game.
Griff. Yeah. What's that, Griff?
I said it's a great game.
It's a great game. But that's all I have to say about Baba. It's everyone should play that game, and it's not even that expensive.
Yes.
Buy it right now.
I agree. Absolutely.
You guys should talk about Control, because that seems like the other major contender.
Totally.
Yeah. I love it. Brutalism. It's amazing.
Brutalism's involved?
It's the art style of the game.
It's the art style of the architecture. You've heard of Brutalist.
I suppose it is Brutalist. I played like an hour of it, and I'm vaguely recalling some of the art style at this point of like the interior of the building.
Yeah, I mean it's not so intrusive in that it's like the main focal point of the game. It's just like, hey, are you on the internet and you want to talk about your art degree that you have and also a video game? Here's an opportunity.
But this is your number one, right, Griff?
Absolutely. But Jamie, to your point, like I then did learn a lot about brutalism as an art style.
Yeah.
But I don't think that by that means does this define it as a great game.
No. It's a great game because it's a great game. This is the first game that has David Lynchian stilted dialogue that hits 100%. Mm-hmm. Like
absolutely
100%.
This is what if Lost ended good.
Yeah. In terms of storytelling, this game never whiffs. This game is a home run. It is like flawless just from a storytelling perspective. And that's what honestly got me through the first, I don't know, hour, 2, 3 of the game, where honestly I was having fun, but I was like, you know what? I've played this game. It's called Alan Wake. But then you get more powers, things change, and then all of a sudden it's not only like the biggest home run in terms of narrative in a game that I can remember in recent memory, but also just addictively fun. Just like I think about it now, like they announced that stupid DLC at the Game Awards that looks like it's going to be some procedurally generated nonsense. And
it's some trash, absolute trash.
And at first I was like, oh god, I don't want that. And then I was like, wait a minute. I do. I will.
I can go back.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Take it away, Griff. I'm sure you have a lot more to say. But I'm in love with it. I loved every minute.
No, I don't have too much more to say than what you said. I think that the game. So again, we're all Kojima heads here, right? I think that we've already made the Lost parallel. There's a lot of merit for me when games do narrative right. And one of the things that Kojima games do really well, aka Metal Gear Solid, is they have a lot of depth to their stories, to their history, to their lore, to their background. Like they really create a world. God of War last year did the same thing for me, where it's like you created a world that is, I want to be in more. But you based it off Norse mythology, right? I feel like Control did a thing where they created a world from scratch, and it has the layers and the breadth and the history of something like Metal Gear Solid or God of War, where it's like you have a touchstone, but this is completely fresh. And in one game, you go through the entire experience of peeling back those layers of like, okay, I picked up this document. I'm not going to read it because I don't. Okay. A player may say, I picked up this document, I'm not going to read it because I don't care. But then you get to a location, and it's like, hey, this is the location that this document was referring to. Okay, maybe I'll go read the document. You read the document. Everything's redacted. And you're like, weird. And then later, somebody says a word in a video, in an FMV fucking video file that's like, the NFC, or the SN, whatever it is. And you're like, oh, that was the old... That was the person that was the director before this guy. And then you're like, wait. So that was that person's name? And that means that is that thing that document is referring to. And if you choose to go down that rabbit hole and enjoy that narrative path, like it just unfolds and unfolds and unfolds in
Very
a fucking
rewarding.
cool way.
Yeah.
Where I always say this, like, it's a game that makes me jealous that I was a better storyteller in, like, my role-playing game that I run. Like, I wish I had the ability to create a world like this, because I'm fucking jealous about how much life and history and mystery they put into the world, but then also just give you little tidbits to keep moving forward and keep understanding and peeling it back, like I said, like Lost, but if they fulfilled a lot of those things, or at least were like, okay, here's an answer, but there's more. And then to Jamie, your point, I hear people are saying like, it's kind of boring. It's not fun to play. I disagree wholeheartedly. I loved playing this game. Mechanically, shooting things, shooting monsters, flying around, jumping around, getting powers. Like it was fine. It was a video game that was not obtrusive.
Yeah, no, I towards the end of it, I couldn't get enough. I did everything in this game. This is one of those games that I totally didn't expect to, get every achievement, do everything, collect every little piece of documentation and read every little thing. But when the lore is written so well and is so enticing, and is also like the perfect length, like every found document that you come across is like the perfect length to get you hooked and wanting more, and it leaves you wanting that one last bite, and that leads you to the next document. And the lore you find in the world actually is reinforced by the story, and you feel rewarded for finding those things because it will come to bear in the mainline story. And man, so good. But also, like, in the game does an amazing job of inviting you into the lore, where it's not like a lot of video games where you're like, okay, I had this boss fight, and now it's like, codec unlocked. Do you want to read about Buzzfist the Buzzfister? And you're like, no, I don't.
He Buzzfists with the best of them.
But this is like, you fought a fridge, and it's like, it does enough to build up why you should care about this fridge, and then it just drops off in a heartbeat.
Do you fight a fridge?
Yes. Well,
oh, I want it. I mean, I have it, but I want to play more.
You it's must. Then like, all right, well, you must take another step to understand the fridge fight. Excuse me.
So many great moments too. Like when I think of if we were doing like a formalized, blank of the year thing, and we had a moments of the year, I feel like it would all go to Control. There were so many times.
100%.
I had skin crawling moments in this game.
Right. The cigarette, or was the ashtray maze, is one of the best moments ever.
And there were moments in this game where I was laughing out loud like a maniac in my own house because I was so happy.
Dynamite music video is amazing.
Yes, and also the that long sequence with the song, and when you fight like the evil version of you, just so many great. You come across the scale model of the town where you grew up. So many amazing moments. Just thinking about it,
when you capture a person and you can just continue to have conversations with them, and they talk about it being a video game, and the perspective changes to be, from a different angle in the room while this person is describing what they're looking at and how everything is just a game. Like,
insane.
this is Remedy at its fucking peak.
Yes. I think also that this game does something really well that rarely happens in games, which is that it goes along with what you were saying before, Griff. It's not afraid to let you know that it did go to college and it did study English at college, like me. And it wants you to know that it knows what a panopticon is. And it's not going to shove it in your face, but it's going to make sure that if you read Foucault in college and if you know what a panopticon is, it's going to just give you like a little kind of nudge, like a hey, look at us. Look at us. Look where we are. Like it's oddly rewarding in that sense. And there's a lot of things like that. If you're into mental health or psychology, there's a lot of that there. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't hit you over the head with it. It's not.
Is the mental health stuff like cogently delivered?
No, it's not. Well, it's not.
No,
it's not. It's not necessarily. It has no message about mental health. It just has.
No, but is it correct?
It has the same. It has the same. What it's doing is it just references ideas and things like that.
Okay, so just these are learned people who've read.
Yeah.
Your
There's
Freuds,
there's
your
patient interview
Jungs.
things too that may also be like, directly comparable of what you've dealt with.
Yeah, and so there's stuff there, but it's not like it doesn't force you to bask in its intelligence. It just kind of puts it out there. It's rewarded. It's part of the game. It doesn't feel apart from the game. It's enmeshed in the game, in the story.
When you locate these tidbits, do you adjust your monocle and tip your top hat?
I check my stopwatch, my what do they call it, pocket watch, and yeah, what a great game.
But on the other hand, like, you can just keep playing and be like, it's like, I gotta shoot some more of them flesh sacks.
Exactly, yeah.
And it feels fun to shoot the flesh sacks and get your character powered up.
Can we
and
put
also
Remedy's control on the back? Feels fun to shoot the flesh sacks. It might have sold a lot more.
Jesse, the main character, is like it's a character you don't see in video games, and it's like Jamie, you said, like a Lynchian character where it's very introspective and a lot of internal dialogue that is like mirroring. It's the fish out of water, stranger in a strange land. Like, somebody is diatribing to you, and then your character makes a comment about, one, them saying a thing they're doing, or then two, they say something and comment about themselves saying the thing that they said and how awkward it was. And you're like, oh shit, man, like, this is a very self-aware like design and a very self-aware character, which just is so endearing.
Yes. And it's hard. I mean, if you've ever watched a David Lynch film, you know that it's really hard to stick the landing in terms of the ending when you're dealing with that kind of writing. But this game totally does an incredibly rewarding ending, with one I thought, and one kind
I think
of
it
false.
has a little weak ending, but
I thought it had a great red herring, a great kind of misdirection, and then,
absolutely
and then a
agree.
very rewarding kind of ending, moment that I really enjoyed.
yeah, there's a bit of mechanics that got in the middle of that, of point X and point Z, that I struggled with, but I'm gonna chalk it up to user error and not say it's a fault of the game. Like, it's not perfect, but it's just a very small sliver between that like.
So what you're saying is the ending ruined the game for you. Now it's a C.
It's not Dragon.
Not Dragon
Quest,
Inquisition. Dragon Age Inquisition.
Dragon Age 2, I think, is the one that burned me.
You know what game does have collectible readings that are too long? Dragon Age Inquisition. They were invariably one page too long each.
Huh. But Control is phenomenal. It's got FMV. It's got fun combat. It's got weird little challenges. It's got the Spider-Man hook of last year of I just want to keep going through it and mop up all these achievements. It's got world building and lore and great character acting and design, and I was writing my list. This is my number one, and I was looking at my list. And I'm like, nothing else matters, honestly. Like, I don't need to do a list this year because the only game that matters is Control.
I was shocked that it didn't win the Game Awards. I really thought that on the whole, in terms of thinking about what the average, game writer would like and enjoy, I was really surprised. And did it win any awards there? I can't remember.
It won best art direction, I think.
Okay, it certainly deserved that, but I feel like it deserved so much more, and I was shocked that it was snubbed in so many ways.
Well,
I feel
it
like
also didn't do very well in sales. I mean,
it didn't, and critically, it didn't do super well either.
critically it didn't do
it was high 80s, I think.
Huh.
Exactly, it didn't blow things out of the water like
It's surprising.
Can we all agree that Sekiro is maybe not the best From Software game?
Not on my list.
Not on
Didn't
my
make my
list.
top 10.
Yep. Kind of
Did you
burned
guys-
out on that one.
Did any of you finish it or get far in it? Like, I did not get
to
very far.
I got to the boar, and I was like, fuck this boar. It's really dumb.
I feel, oddly enough, that Star Wars Jedi whatever, like, takes the whatever Sekiro has and, like,
it eats
makes
that
it,
thing's fucking lunch.
Yeah. It makes
Why
that...
was Sekiro not very fun?
Because it was mean.
It was very mean.
But, like, a lot of games are mean in the From or whatever, and they're still fun.
But I think
Bloodborne
the
was
difference with Sekiro is, I think everybody has a Sekiro. Like, everybody gets a Sekiro in that you will play a Dark Souls game that doesn't land with you because this game's mechanics didn't hit your what speaks to you. And for me, Sekiro just didn't work for me, where it's like, hey, here's this game that's very much focused on trial and error and failure and restarting. But you know what? This game, unlike the other ones, is very focus forward. You must be aggressive in it in a way that the aggression is you must always be pressing forward. You must be pressing forward with the counters. You must be managing multiple meters. Always be countering. And if you're not, there's no other avenue to pursue. So like in Bloodborne and in Dark Souls and
you could grind to a fashion in those games.
you could grind, or you can
Change
mitigate certain situations. Yeah. And I felt like Sekiro just didn't have that option.
Yeah.
And it felt miserable because of it, because then there were so many situations where it's like, all right, here's the big bad guy. I have to go through this tedious mop-up method to clean these people out, to then have this one fight with this one person who, if I fuck up once, I'm going to restart the entire thing.
Yeah, because every hit does more than half of your health.
Yeah, and and there we are. Like, there's no good way to sprint through it and get to the boss fight and then get shit going. It's just like, no, you have to perform perfectly, otherwise, try again. And I did not enjoy that this time.
Yeah. It felt like there wasn't as much possibility. Maybe there wasn't as much to mess around with in this weird.
Also, the environment
place.
wasn't it wasn't nearly as fun to poke around in as, like,
that's what I mean. Like,
Bloodborne.
no sense of exploration.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm glad we're all on the same page about that, because I think that it seemed like it was just universally. I know there was some Sekiro backlash, but it seemed so beloved critically, and I was like, this is not From's best work.
Big letdown.
Yeah.
I agree, but I also take the stance that it's I can't demonstrably say that it's not their best work. I think it just doesn't land for me.
Yeah, that's probably. I mean, that's more accurate. It's obviously like a very well put together.
Yeah,
that's undeniable. But I think the choices they made are not choices I like.
Right, and I think for me, it was like Bloodborne was the perfect mix of these two games, where it's like I can be aggressive, I can get in, I can get out, I can play a little fast and loose, I can interrupt things. But then I can also, like, do a bunch of back dodges and, like, kind of do the circle strafe, and I'll be good. Whereas
also,
in Sekiro,
a guy in a wheelchair who has a machine gun.
in either of the other games, it's like, well, you kind of have to commit to either of those directions. You're either in full time or you're out, and you're just rolling.
Yeah. I just wanted to run that by you guys. I don't want to belabor some of these games that didn't land, because I know this is a celebration of what worked, but I know that we're united on that.
You're absolutely right, and I think it's still worth saying that Sekiro was a cool game. It just wasn't for me.
It was cool to a point, and then it was cool till I was like, okay, I'm tapping out. I'm not really having fun with this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
So, Jamie, you already brought up, or Jeff, you brought up Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. It's my number 2 on my list, and I haven't finished it.
How dare you?
And I'm at a point right now where I'm like, this blows. Like, this is miserable.
Really?
And not in a way that I'm like, okay, game, I get you. Like, you're going for that atmosphere right now, but again, it's very much in that Death Stranding vein of like, I've been having such a great time in these locations that I am now the master of, and now you put me in this location that's new and novel, but not in a fun way. Like, it's like you purposely designed the miserable place to be mechanically miserable as well, and I'm like, I don't want to. If this is the back half of the game, I just want to power through it so I can see what the end is, because I don't want to play this anymore.
That's such a shame, because it opens so strong.
But on the other hand, like, I'm saying that the game is so good, it's not detracting from my overall experience. Like, I've had such a good time with it, and I'm hopeful that after I take, a day or 2 off, like I've done, I can go back to it and I can say, like, okay, this is where we're at. Like, let's be a little bit more realistic about what we're doing, and not, everything doesn't need to be fucking Emerald Hill Zone. Like, there can be some lava worlds or whatever.
I'm trying to think what the shitty zones in Sonic 2 are.
Casino Night Zone? Jesus.
Yeah, it's not that great. What's the green one towards the end is also annoyingly hard. Those fucking grasshopper guys kill you.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you know.
I know.
Because we play it while eating cereal whenever we're together.
Throwing the bones.
Eating Domino's pizza and boneless wings.
Yes.
So they have a new boneless concoction that is, it's like some modicum of chicken that is deeply breaded, and then there is pineapple and like pineapple syrup on it, and then cheese and
gross.
jalapenos.
Jesus.
Oh.
They're actually pretty good.
Oh, no. And hepatitis C.
We're going to eat them. You and I are going to put them in our mouths when we're in Boston.
Good. When our PAX panel gets accepted, which
Yeah.
it definitely will. Not worried at all.
I'm very worried.
And then you both can't attend because you're exploding. So, Jamie, did you play Jedi Fallen Order?
Yeah, I not a lot. Literally like the opening area, but I immediately loved it. It hooked me with the story. I'm playing on PC, so it's beautiful. It's very flowy. I understand on consoles it was there was a little bit of a jank, but on PC it's buttery smooth, 4K. I mean, granted, I spend way too much money on.
I was going to say, if you have the right hardware.
Yeah. But it just felt phenomenal so far, and I'm not very far at all. But I liked the degree to which it is very clearly like telling you
A Souls game?
Yeah, like, hey, this is a Souls game. I'm literally going to tell you that right now. Like, and I liked, and then
There were bonfires.
there are
That's what I
bonfires,
heard. Yeah.
and then there's the level layout even seems like
Yep.
that, and I'm
Yep.
excited
Yep.
for it. I'm looking
Like-
forward to it.
Like earlier Souls games where it's like...
That's had the Metroid vibe, like where you can like go to different places and find shortcuts and shit, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, but the game is also like, it's very obvious with it, where you're like, it's like, oh, I can't open this door, and then you don't really think much about it at the beginning of the game. You're like, oh, fucking games, whatever, I can't open the door, and then you either get an ability to open the door, or you find the other side of the door, and it's like shortcut unlocked, and you're like, okay, all right, game.
And then, like, you find your first bonfire, and then shortly after that, you roll up on, like, this big bad, and you're like, oh, I got this guy. And then he just owns you, and you're like, oh, it really is just Dark Souls, huh? But
Great.
in
Yeah.
a good way.
Star Wars Dark Souls.
Yeah.
But then in the cool way that it's like, it's player agency of, like, Jamie, that first, like, toad that you run across that you're like, oh, this is impossible, becomes fucking nothing after you play it. Not because your character level is increasing and you're getting more abilities. It's just like, no, I know how to traverse. I know combat. I know how to play my character.
Would you describe the difficulty as tough but fair?
Yes, yeah, platform. It's definitely a
of the
platform
Souls
with an art
genre.
style.
I'm really excited because I have the ability to pay $40 for that game now, which is the amount of money I wanted to pay.
Oh,
Yeah,
because
fuck
of,
you, Disney.
because of the Epic Store.
Yeah, because they
Yeah.
have the $10 coupon.
Yeah.
Because
It's very good.
Yeah, I'm excited to grab it. I've been waiting for this moment.
I'm also extremely excited to see, since this is now technically new Star Wars canon, where it ends and how that shapes the space between 3 and 4 and what they're going to do with that, to say, like, because there undoubtedly has to be a big, grandiose moment of, like, you meet Darth Vader or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there has to be that. I don't know if there is, if there isn't, but, like, I'm curious to see how this shapes the canon.
And they're making that Ewan McGregor show, so they're definitely interested in exploring that space. Not that I much care, because I don't really like extended universe, but
Oh, there's also a thing that's really fucking cool in the game, and I was telling the D&D nerds this the other night. There's a thing that you can find in the game that is completely non-linear. By no means would you ever need to find it, but it completely upends the gameplay in a way that you're like, I cannot believe that this is not a story beat on the main path, that then now my character has this ability. Like, I was bewildered that I was just like, oh, I got these powers now. I'm going to go back in Metroidvania style, like, go look at some of these locations. But by no means was it, like, compelling me to do that. And by no means was it even directing me to do that. It was just like, I'm curious. I'm going to go back to these locations and see what now I can do there with my new abilities. And the fact that there was something that was just like, you walk into this room and now you have this thing, and now the gameplay is like, hey, how would we have never have done this? The fact that it is missable blows my mind.
That's what I love
excited.
those moments in games, though. I love, because when you come across one of those moments, you feel like you're experiencing something that's, like, kind of yours. And
Yes.
and it does.
I feel like I was cheating.
Yeah. And it feels like it's just for you, and it feels like it's this private moment, and you can't believe that other people might not see that. I mean, that's what's so magical about, the Souls games,
Yeah.
just
Oh,
generally
100%.
speaking,
I feel like so many games in the
That's
AAA
really-
space are
yeah.
afraid to do that now. Like, I think one of the reasons, and this is not maybe it is AAA because it's like one of the biggest franchises on the planet, but, like, one of the reasons that Pokemon has lost a bit of its magic is, like, that series is so afraid that you're going to miss something that literally the act of playing the game just is everything. Like, it's like, no, you're going to see every Pokemon, you're going to go to every route, you're going to get every item, you're going to do every single thing, and then you beat the game and it's like, it's over. Like, they're so afraid of going off the beaten path.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a shame.
Yeah. I know you didn't play much of Sword and Shield, Jamie, because
No,
I'm
no.
assuming anyway.
No, I got a couple gym badges, maybe 3 or 4.
What?
Yeah.
That's a lot of gameplay. That's maybe the most you've ever played in a Pokemon game.
I think it is since the OG, and I don't dislike it. It's definitely not on my list, but it's shocking how little I have to say about that game. Like,
Yeah.
I'm
It's
trying to come up
confident.
with an
It's a great
interesting,
Pokemon game.
but it's just like nothing. It's like,
I think the wild area is fun.
but I want. There needs to be a reason why I'm doing this, and it can't just be because there's some yelling guys who are assholes. Like, I feel like.
So do you need a story? Do you need, like, something more than become the very best?
That's what I feel like is lacking, and that I need, and also your rival is not sufficient.
I think what I need more than anything is, again, I just need more non-linear gameplay in my Pokemon. I need more choice. I need more, like, you can go here or you can go here, and your journey will diverge. Like, I just think that the hand-holding has gotten to a point where it just doesn't feel... The magic isn't really there, because it's like there's no point at which you're like, I'm exploring and it rewarded me. It's just like... Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I feel like in an odd way, that level of hand holding has actually, it maybe is the reason why I've played more of this game than I've played of the other ones, because it's kind of propelling me, guiding me through the story. It's a very, I don't dislike the game. It's an enjoyable thing, and I kind of play it a little bit mindlessly, might listen to a podcast or something while I'm doing so, and it's fun and it's good. And, I like the rock, paper, scissorsness of it. I usually have no idea what I'm doing, but that doesn't seem to matter at all. And
it is dirt easy, yeah.
I like the Dynamax thing. I think that's cool. I don't think the game looks bad. I'm not one of those people that's saying, like, look at the polygon count on the Pikachu. It's clearly an old Pikachu.
That doesn't really bother me.
Yeah. But what do you think about it as like a lifelong dyed in the wool?
So I think that I agree with you, Jamie, that it propels you through the plot, and it definitely makes you want to play more of it. But I think that I don't have anything to keep me there. And I think the best sense of exploration you get from that game is like looking for the rare Pokemon of the area in the grass. Like it's never like going to this place that you wouldn't otherwise see. Everything is just laid bare for you by the regular story progression. So by the time you beat it, you're like, what's the point of me remaining in this world? I've seen the whole thing.
That's a shame. Now, normally, would you go on after you beat one of these games? Would you go on to be in the competitive scene? And do you plan on doing that here? No.
I mean, it's more accessible than it has been in the past. I still don't really want to do it. There's like the battle tower, which is kind of cool because I do like the mechanics of Pokemon. And the battle tower is like actually difficult, unlike the game. Although I did artificially inflate the difficulty of the game. Like I refused to do Dynamaxing in the gym battles.
You doing a Nuzlocke?
I was not doing a Nuzlocke.
Okay.
Because I like to collect all the guys. I don't want to do that. I would switch my team a lot, though. And that was pretty fun. Like, I like the Pokemon. Like, I still think Pokemon are fucking cool. But...
I don't know, Jeff, if you covered this already, but what did you think of the new Pokemons?
I liked them all. Almost all of them, anyway.
Okay.
Did you feel differently, Griff?
No, I was just going to say, like, I know there's a lot of controversy around this game, like, there's not a lot of new ones, and it's not a lot of old ones.
Fine.
And I would say that I think my party was like entirely all new Pokemon in that what I went to the championship with, and I really like their new designs, and I really like playing with them.
Yeah, I agree completely. I mean, they're never going to do like 100 new Pokemon anymore. But this was a pretty good selection. I think there were quite a few, and they didn't load it up with legendaries like they so often do. So everything that was there mattered. I do wish there were more Galarian forms, but
yes,
yeah, I think it was great. I think lots of fun new guys. There's a lot of things I still love about Pokemon. I wish that there was more of a reason to be in those worlds after you finished with them.
Do you think
because the games get shorter and easier, and it's like, well, then what?
Yes, this was by far the easiest Pokemon I've played.
Yeah.
Do you think, Jeff, as a series fan, do you think that Pokemon is going downhill? Like, how much stock do you put in this Dexit
Hell
stuff? No?
Oh, fuck that. It's dumb. Like, it matters to certain people, but Pokemon did amazingly. I mean, the critical reviews are a little lower than the last time around.
But it's selling, right?
Oh, yeah.
I think it was one of the best-selling ones, right?
Best Switch launch of all time. I think it might be the best Pokemon launch ever.
Yep. I think I've heard the same thing.
Yeah. It's doing great. I mean, I think it's a great game. I think that it hasn't done what I would like the series to do necessarily. Like I had a good time with it, but I wish that it endured in a way that it hasn't for me.
I think that Pokemon. This is the weirdest Pokemon that's been launched in the longest time. Where it's doing a lot of things to bring in new players, but it's also doing a lot of things that old school players have been asking for, but in neither case is it doing the things that people really want.
Yeah.
So it's like it's giving concession, but it's not giving into what people are asking for.
And I think sometimes people don't know what they want. Like, I think that series always has to have, like, I feel like the core battle mechanics should not change. But I think there's a lot you could do without changing those mechanics. Personally. I mean, you might feel differently, Griff. You might be like, they're dumb.
Oh, no, my battle mechanics skill, like, I know, Jamie, you're asking Jeff a lot of like deep cut, hardcore trainer stuff, and I am definitely not of that level. But like, you know, that side also doesn't really interest me, and I don't understand why you can't just open up the breadth of all the Pokemon's moves to have them all the time. But it's like, well, that's how it's always been, and that's how battling is, and so on and so forth. But I get it. Like, that's how the game is. And I don't even feel equipped to speak to, like, Pokemon metagame at large.
I think that the metagame is cool, and it's cooler than a lot of people give it credit for. But I still think there's a lot more that could be done to make those worlds more interesting to be in.
How much does the metagame, the end game, how much does that depend on like breeding and maximizing those invisible stats?
Well, that should all die in a fire. You should just be able to click a button and make your Pokemon.
But amazing. I mean,
from what I hear, Jamie, is I think that there were things done in this game to make
it easier.
Easier.
It's still weird, but it is the easiest it's ever been.
So you still have to do that, but it's easier to do that.
You don't. So if you like your Pokemon and it doesn't like require particular things, like there are weird little things like hidden abilities that you can only get from raids. But you can take your guy that you've had the whole game. If his ability is decent, or if it's not a hidden ability, because you can change his ability, you can bring him over to a guy, invest a bunch of time and energy, and turn your guy into like an Uber dude.
That's cool.
Yeah,
I dig it.
So it is, and also like you can teach him moves that he'd have to ordinarily breed for by just throwing him in the daycare with a Pokemon that knows them. So it's easier than it's ever been to get into the scene, but it's still like fighting game levels of investment.
It's easier to be in the scene. It's not easier to get in the scene.
Now, were these invisible stats in Red and Blue?
Mm-hmm. They've changed. So they changed starting in the the first generation. They added a second stat or a sixth stat in the second generation, I believe, and then third generation they changed it again a little bit. But individual values have been around the whole time. I don't know about effort values. I can't remember.
I'll tell you this. My favorite thing about new Pokemon is the fucking...
The fucking?
The Pokemon fucking is the weakness type...
Weakness policy?
No, the weakness type like data knowledge forwardness. Like, if I fight a creature and I beat the Pokemon... like. If it's the first time, it's unknown. But then I fight it again, you know, it's like now it's in your Pokedex. You know the information about it. So now if I am type X, I'm going to be weak to its attack. Or sorry, it doesn't say that. It says like if you have a move
on it, yeah.
Yes, and like that is such a nice convenience for me because I am so tired of looking at a like FAQ of Pokemon things where it's like, what is fairy good against again? What is dark? What is dark?
Yeah, that should. I love that that's all surfaced. I think the individual values, which are the ones that you previously couldn't change and went from 0 to 31, and were just predetermined when you caught the Pokemon and literally just made it good or bad. Those are dumb. They shouldn't exist. Effort values, they're fine, but they should just be a slider that you can do. Like that shit can change. I think the core like types and team building and limitations around moves, I wouldn't want that stuff to go away. I don't care about the really crazy shit. That should probably go away. But yeah, I think that putting all that competitive nonsense aside, which has its value, and like there are ways to be competitive, like there's Pokemon Showdown, which is literally just a web app that people do battles on and requires no investment of any kind. You just go on there and make your team. But I just think there could be more done to make those games more compelling.
Yeah.
I think we've been saying that for years too. Is like, hey, Pokemon, it's time to do something different. But I really feel like in the DS, the 3DS era, we've been seeing Pokemon change in leaps and in measured steps, not leaps and bounds. We've been seeing it change.
Let's not sell short how cool it is that finally Pokemon are in the overworld. Like that's
hell yeah,
that's awesome.
For as many cool changes as this Pokemon game made, Resident Evil 2 made more, and it was awesome. And I loved
the sleeper hit of the year.
I love. Did you guys play this game?
Yeah.
It sounds like you're not so hot on it, Griff, but I loved this game. I loved every minute of it. I never played Resident Evil 2, the OG, but I just had such a fun time with this. Everything was new to me. Didn't expect the tyrant to be unkillable. Didn't know the plot points. Didn't know about which keys I would need when, and I just had such a fun time. And it was beautiful, just an incredible looking game. And I don't know what
he's brand new for the game, right? He wasn't in Resident Evil 2, was he?
Correct.
Yeah, that's
what was he in 3?
Yes, Nemesis was in 3.
Oh, what?
Different
Whoa,
monster. But,
that's so weird.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. What
did you think, Griff? You didn't like it?
No, it's not that I didn't like it. It just, it's a genre that doesn't...
Yeah, I don't like survival horror so much.
Yeah, it doesn't work for me as well. I played a lot of it. It was one of those things where I felt like I invested a lot of time and I was getting kind of not burnt out, but exhausted by it. And I kind of looked at a guide and was like, all right, how much more do I have in front of me? And it was like, you have so much more. And I'm like, oh no, I can't do this anymore. So I kind of just stepped away from it, and there was more games to play at the time.
I feel like my non-survival horror fan perspective on it is I'm happy it exists, and it feels
yes.
like a wonderful love letter and a thing that Capcom didn't have to do, and they did it, and they did it hard. And that's super cool.
I loved 7, and I think I loved this even more. And noted video game journalist and friend of the show, Susan Arendt, was recently saying on Twitter that one of the reasons why she loves this game is because a lot of the times you have to run through the same or similar areas, and you're constantly thinking about ammo conservation, and you have in the back of your mind this concept that there's a perfect way to do this. And that's what I love. I love thinking, okay, last time I made it from this point A to that point B, I made it and I only used 6 bullets. And this time I'm going to use 5. And that to me is such a fun thing. And the first time you ran through, you were just certain you were dead at every turn. Mm-hmm. And then you get so proficient, and it's very rewarding to play. I love those games.
The highest compliment I can give to Resident Evil 2 is I would watch the shit out of a Resident Evil 2 stream.
Yeah. Speedrun.
Because I don't want to play it, because I don't like horror games, and they make me scared. But I would watch the shit out of it.
So I hate to ask this, Jamie, did you finish it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I could not. It actually felt, when I was playing it, in terms of the momentum that the game carried me through it with, it actually felt somewhat similar for me in terms of enjoyment to Control. Because it just felt like there was this just constant forward movement, never a dull moment, always a new weapon to use, always a new route to try, always a new story tidbit. I thought it was very well paced. I didn't know that Tyrant was new for this, but I did know that they changed some of the ending areas a lot, and I am glad they did, because I thought that the opening area, the police station, was almost perfectly paced, and I thought that the ending areas were really well paced. And hearing some of the changes that they made, I can imagine that if they just did more of a straight up remastering, that it really would have fallen apart at the end. But I'm glad it didn't. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I left the police station, and that was the point where I'm like, I don't need more of this. And it may have been, Jeff, a combination of just I've had enough of the horror, I've had enough of the stress. Also, I've played enough Resident Evil in my life that I don't care about the story at this point.
Resident Evil.
Resident Evil.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, by no means, Jamie, would I want to say it's a bad game. Much like I was talking about Bloodstain, I think that the Resident Evil 2 remake is a phenomenal game. It's really cool, and it's once again, Capcom killing it, doing great things.
It's great to see. Also, Bloodstain Switch is a bad game.
Yeah, yes, it is.
It's a real bad game.
It's a war crime.
But you know what Switch game isn't bad
Whoa.
and is amazing is Shovel Knight King of Cards, which
That's
is
a good game.
I think it's I'm loving it, dude. I'm into the card game. I don't know how to play it. I'm just like grasping
cheat,
at
man.
straws and
Just cheat.
But
You'll
I'm
feel so
having-
much better if you just cheat to win. I'm telling you.
well, I'm in the secondary. I'm towards the end of it, and I've cheated once. I haven't felt the need to do more than that. I'm
You're gonna
enjoying
need to cheat going forward.
in the third area.
Yeah, you're gonna need to cheat a whole
Oh
bunch.
no! Did you beat it?
Yeah, I 100%ed it.
I'm having a lot of fun with it. You didn't like it as much as maybe Spectre Knight or Plague Knight or
I liked it a lot. It definitely has the stage design is a little different. They're like little mini platformers, which is fine. I just was like, this is great, and I'm cool with them doing something new now.
I just
It was really cool.
I just love how whenever I have played any of the subsequent games and I've beaten them all and I'm going to beat this one, I always start out by thinking, this is so stupid. Why would they do this? This character, King Knight, his attack literally makes you jump after the end of the attack. And
Yeah.
I'm like, this is not going to be fun. And somehow it is incredibly fun.
It is the most. They somehow managed to make you accept the most like arcane method of doing damage to enemies that they could possibly have mustered. Like
Yeah.
not only so you Jamie, you were talking about how when you hit something, you bounce in the air, and then you can dash again, but only after you bounce off of another thing.
Yes.
And that is like integral to your progression in the game. You have to hit a thing, bounce in the air, bounce off another thing, and use your dash again.
And it somehow becomes natural, and which is really cool. And whenever I start one of these DLC things for Shovel Knight, I always end up, when I start it, I think so much about the controls and I remap them a million times, and I'm constantly thinking about where my hands are, because I've never played a platformer where you, by necessity, you jump after you attack. You have no choice. And, so you're always thinking, or I'm always thinking, I'm never going to get the hang of this. But then I just have the time of my life after a while. And I think it's such a cool thing that they're able to do that.
I agree with you. I think that it was a fantastic game, and just by virtue of the fact that I didn't play very many games, it's definitely on my list. The thing that I take away more than anything from the Treasure Trove series is like, man, it must have sucked to have agreed to do this Kickstarter and had to deliver 4 different products. But goddamn, they did an amazing job at really exploring like the limits of that. Like that setup, that world, and the ways in which you can interact with it, and like the kind of like intricacies of platforming, and like all the kind of weird ways you can tweak it. And it just speaks to how good Yacht Club games are as developers.
Yeah.
Like, it is amazing how good they are at iterating within one space and keeping it fresh.
For me personally, I think Spectre Knight was truly kind of astonishing in terms of how fun it was. Any other studio, that would be like the game that would land.
They would farm it out.
Yeah, like that would be their like crowning achievement. But no,
Yeah.
it's like the second of 3 DLC things for them. It's just another drop in the bucket.
Yeah.
I'm just really impressed.
They're an incredible developer. I mean, it's a blessing that they've had the success they've had, and they deserve more of it.
And whenever we talk to people from their company at PAXs, they're always very nice.
Yes.
And that goes a long way. And didn't they fit us in last year? Look, I think twice. I think for both you and I think it was like towards the end of the day.
They let us play Joustus, I believe. I can't
Yes.
remember if we could play the game as well, but they were nice.
They were nice. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. The only other thing that I want to mention real quick is Ion Fury. It's cool. If you ever played Duke Nukem and you didn't think it was complete dog shit, give Ion Fury a try, because it's built.
It's my favorite Duke Nukem level, complete dog shit.
It's like sometimes Digital Foundry has boners for things, and I'm like, why? I mean, I kind of get it, but why? This is one of the things where they were effusive about it, and I gave it a try, and I'm really glad I did. Super fun game. It's the type of shooter that we don't get anymore. The closest thing to it in recent years is Doom 2016, but this feels substantially different. It's like pretty cheap, and it's also like 40 megabytes. because it's actually built in that engine.
Wow.
So it is it's a really cool thing to see. Definitely worth a try, especially if it's like $1 or $2 on sale sometime, which I'm sure it will be if it isn't right now.
So I've got a question. How come Untitled Goose Game isn't on any of your guys' lists?
I liked
Because
it.
it was fine.
But what about you? Is it on your list?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What number is it?
It's number 6 for me.
I
Why
thought it was fun.
why should it be on our lists?
Well, because most of your lists are under 10, so it could probably nuzzle its way in there.
I mean, by virtue, of me having less than 10 games here, it's on my list.
No, I'm just fucking with you.
But-
I know it set the internet ablaze, and I thought it was fun. I really struggle with it too. Like it went up and down my list, and
I think it's a little zeitgeisty for
It
me.
paved-
absolutely.
It paved the way for the best moment of the Game Awards, which I'm very thankful for. The Muppets.
I'm surprised they didn't
indeed.
hawk Portal while they were doing that.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's too much to say about Untitled Goose Game, but I thought it was fun, and
It was
that's where I was like conflicted on where it landed in my and where it roosted in my list.
Nice.
shit.
Very nice.
Would you say that it moved down your list?
Oh, Downy, not down, Downy.
Downy. Okay. I see
Very
what I'm
good.
saying. Yeah,
Very
interesting.
good.
So I just want to give a little honk and say Untitled Goose Game. Yeah, it was good.
It
Yeah, it
waddled
sounds
its
like
way into
everybody's
your
kind of wrapping up here on their favorites and everything. The one thing that I did notice, Jamie, on your list that I want to talk about is Outer Worlds and Outer Wilds.
Yes.
The most complex situation of this year.
I need to play more Outer Wilds, man.
I like them both. I like. I think that Outer Worlds is probably going to end up being a letdown for me. But the first section of that world is wonderful, and exactly what I want from the people who made New Vegas. So I hear that things kind of keep chugging, and maybe you don't change as much as you would want, but you know what? Even if it just keeps giving me that over and over again, that's fine. And then for Outer Wilds, I mean, that game just has this immediate feel that is so unique. And I never beat Majora's Mask, but from what I've played and from what people say, it really does seem like it's the only game to be a true spiritual successor to that one. And
What? Sorry, I'm sorry. What?
people say, Jason Schreier among them, that Outer Wilds is essentially the only sequel to Majora's Mask that you will ever get.
Not. What are you talking about?
Because I guess, and I don't. This is, I think, a spoiler, but I understood it from watching a video a Polygon video that was funny.
Yeah, I mean,
think
do you
world
know
ends
much
after
about
a
the
little while.
game, Griff?
Yeah, I played it.
Oh, you played it?
I think the world ends after 22 minutes or something.
Oh, Outer Wilds. Sorry. Again, the problem. Outer Worlds versus Outer Wilds.
Don't spoil too much for me, because I really want to experience like everything that game has to offer, because it seems like it's full of insanity.
Yes, I've heard the same thing where it's like, there's a timer on it. Yes.
Yeah. Did you play it, Griff, at all?
No, I haven't. That's where I got confused. I was like, my brain was in Outer Worlds mode, and I was like, that world definitely doesn't end because it fucking goes on forever.
It's delightful. It's a little rough around the edges, but it's very immediately endearing. It seems like the kind of game that if you're kind of in the right state of mind, it could really be like the perfect scratch to that itch. And
It's got some secrets, right?
yeah,
some
I mean,
mysteries.
I as I understand, it gets pretty meta towards the end and pretty
love it.
almost in a Baba Is You way, I think. But
Jamie, have you encountered the meta elements in Baba Is You?
no, I'm going off of I'm
Okay.
intuiting.
I was curious. We'll talk about it after the stream.
I mean, I don't want to talk about it.
I'll tell Griff.
But from what I hear, from what people have alluded to, it sounds like the meta elements in this game are similar to that. But unlike Baba Is You, the kind of mystery of the Outer Wilds is presented early, and used as kind of like a carrot on a stick to kind of lead you through. Because initially, it is a little frustrating because it's like it's part of the game is like a physics sim, and so
I died while parkouring on the first world, and I was really mad.
Yeah, it's.
I was like, "This is dumb. I don't want to play this anymore."
But I think that gets easier, and I think that your ship can take a lot more than you think, and I think that I'm definitely going to finish that one. I don't know if I'm going to finish Outer Worlds, but did you finish Outer Worlds, Griff?
No, I did not, but I played it, and that's again the whole dilemma with these two games coming out this year with the same fucking name. Yeah,
It's a real dilemma.
We need to do something about this. Someone called Jeff Keighley.
Somebody call 1-800-videogames.com because Outer Worlds is a good game. It was number 8 on my list.
Outer Worlds?
Outer
Oh.
Worlds.
Get in the worlds. Outer worlds.
Get in the zone. Outer zone. Yeah, it's good. It's just more Fallout. It's Fallout, but what if Fallout wasn't bad? And in space.
What if Fallout 4, but not?
That's pretty much it. What if Fallout 4, but good? But also kind of bad.
Yeah.
It definitely doesn't have like the breadth and the complexity of like the Fallout games, but it's inherently tied to Fallout and Elder Scrolls, and that is very much that, like, you know, it's the same company that made the Fallout New Vegas, so the DNA is there. It's just now transmuted into a different flavor. And I would prefer to play in this Outer Worlds land than the Fallout land, because I think Fallout has gone incredibly stale. Outer Worlds is interesting, but I also think that
staler than one of Todd Howard's leather jackets. That's all.
Dude, those are dripping wet with beef sweat.
No, the only person dripping wet with beef in this industry is Mr. Xbox himself. He's the beefiest man.
Phil Spencer?
Yes.
Sexiest man alive?
Yes.
Do you think Phil Spencer will be Man of the Year 2020?
I feel like every time...
Or Beef Jerky Man of 2020.
If Phil Spencer got on stage and he opened his mouth and just an endless amount of baloney just started falling out of it, I would not be surprised. I'd be like, yep, that's how it is.
Or if he was wearing a shirt of just pure baloney plate mail. That'd be good.
Or if you get your Xbox Series X and you put it down and then just baloney starts rocketing out of the disk drive.
No, baloney ain't coming out of that bad boy.
Oh, man.
Also, my cats are really, they're doing a lot right now. Hey, we're hitting the 2-hour mark, so we should probably wind this bad boy down.
Agree 100%. So yeah,
Can I give a quick hot take?
Yeah.
Fire Emblem sucks.
Nice.
Weird. Why?
Because it's too much dating sim, not enough actual video game.
I kind of disagree.
What's the difference?
I liked it, but
I liked it a lot too.
Where my stats at?
their stats.
They're the
With
worst stats.
the love stats?
I don't care about no love points.
Hey, the story differences between what you experienced and what I experienced, that's pretty cool, dude.
Yeah, I think Fire Emblem was a really cool game this year, and I spent a lot of time with it and had a good time with it, which is antithetical to how everything else has worked out this year for me.
Fire Emblem did that thing that Persona 5 did, where it was just like, this needs to end already.
I think the reason why I liked it, Jeff, and you didn't, was because it was a game for dum-dums, and
it was too easy.
I enjoyed it. Therefore, it was dum-dum focused, aka Griff liked it, and it did not have the challenge factor that you would, that it would appeal to you in a strategy RPG game.
Definitely the easiest one of those that I've played, but I loved it, and sometimes I'm down for that kind of nice, warm bath.
I just wanted to be contrarian. It didn't suck. It was fine. It just, I was butt down by it. That's all. But I think games are okay.
But Cloud.
A cloud?
Cloud?
Strife?
Claude.
Oh, Claude. Claude. I mean, he's a dreamy boy. I like Claude.
Corypheus?
Corypheus is my strongest party member.
Really good fleshed out villain.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think the games are okay though. I think that this was kind of in some ways it was a tepid year, but it also had some incredible shit.
So for Fire Emblem specifically, would you want to see them do more in the vein of more dating and more grandiose storytelling, but also inject more strategy? Like, was the dating side like so disgusting that it turned you off of the game, or was it just like it didn't have enough strategy?
It wasn't like the petting and shit. Like T was a little weird and all, but I wasn't feeling pervy. I was just like, this is kind of boring. Like, building social links is only so engaging. Like, the best part of Fire Emblem is playing Fire Emblem, and those parts of the game were like the weakest I've seen them. Like, you don't.
Sure.
There's like terrain doesn't matter. The maps are pretty boring. You reuse them multiple times.
Yeah, that's true.
The combat is a snore. Like, it's just... I played the hardest difficulty, and I was like, this is not... Like, this is not... There's nothing here.
But this is also where, like, my dumb brain would... I don't know. Like, my dumb brain wants to say thing. Jeff, I like the fact that we revisited trains because it was like, aha, I know what to do here now.
I'm
and
cool
then
with grinding
also
on
like in like some of those
terrain.
big grandiose like mission moments where it's like you're back at this thing that you were at before, and it's like, aha, I know what to do. And then it's like, oh, we totally got you by surprise because you thought you knew what to do, but
like,
now you don't.
But like, it's a game that's so long and so full of story beats, but all of them don't feel important.
Oh yeah, I agree 100%. The story is trash as fuck.
And like, and I know that Jamie's story was better because he did Black Eagles, but like, also like
My story was good.
They're delivered with such like so little animation. They're just that bullshit that they do in Japanese games where the characters just stand there and have like 3 canned poses,
Do some nods and some winks.
yeah, like the character runs onto screen. Oh my god, I was just attacked, and then like they faint, but they don't actually faint. They just make a woozy expression, and the camera fades to black, and you hear the sound of them fainting.
And it's against a background that is like oddly not 3D.
Yeah,
And it's like, you have the background. Why did you do this?
I think those complaints are valid, but that's not a fault of this game. That's a fault of game design,
and that's a Fire Emblem
Japanese
thing.
game design.
That's a Fire Emblem thing. I felt so it felt like the vast majority of my time, like I was like, get me out of this fucking monastery. Like, I do not want to spend 7 credits of my time going around.
You don't want
talking to
fish?
people. Why? There's like 3 fish in that pond.
There's a lot more fish than 3.
Yeah, but they don't matter.
Though they sure don't. But they're in there.
Sometimes you can land the big one.
Sometimes it's glowing.
Yeah, that was kind of exciting.
Nope.
There's a rainbow boy. You get the rainbow boy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got the rainbow boy.
I never
It's
got
just
a
wore
rainbow
its welcome.
boy.
Also, your story, I think, was shorter than ours, Jamie, which probably benefited you.
Yeah,
It was only 16
absolutely.
chapters, and ours was like 22.
Oh,
Oh,
God.
I was going to say like 32.
Yeah, it got real long.
No, mine was...
90 hours is what I
Oh,
put into.
Jesus. No,
Yeah.
no. I was maybe
90 of
around the
them.
60 mark. Wow.
I was just like, how have I put in so much time in this game and gotten less like
Nothing.
Fire Emblem ass shit than I've ever gotten? That's how I felt.
Yeah.
But
That's really a
where it's
shame.
going.
It's too bad.
But also, on the other hand, like I liked that to some degree because by the end fight, it was just like, oh, I kill everybody.
He just face rolled the shit out of it. It's like, oh, this big bad boy. Were you Claude?
I am the god incarnate. You cannot defeat me. And I'm like, how about I just one shot everything in this map?
Were you Claude Griff?
Yeah.
Okay, so how pointless was that big bad?
Oh,
He was literally like introduced in that chapter.
right.
He was like, "Here I am, the big barbarian boy with the axe."
Are you kidding
Right.
me?
I broke out of the coffin and now I'm the enemy demon man. Who wants to fight me? Have you ever played a Tekken game?
That sucks, dude. My big bad was the green lady who turned into a dragon, and it was awesome.
They really played her up like a potential villain, and then kind of squandered that.
Yeah.
For me, she was the villain,
Interesting.
which was awesome.
Weren't you?
So that's
the
what
villain?
I've heard that's so good about this game is like if you were to actually be an insane person and play it from multiple different angles and do the game from different story paths, like it will have vastly different outcomes and it will really like have impactful directions on where you're going from it. But who has the time?
Who has the time? Yeah, I would never.
Yeah.
Oh, just automate it all, I guess.
Yeah. And the fact that there's like no crossover is also shitty and also really really cool. Where it's like Jamie had a completely different experience than Jamie doing Black Eagles versus Golden Deer is like. It's a totally viably different game if you want to play it that direction.
Yeah, they like really. There were elements of my story that I know certainly didn't happen in other people's. Like in my story, Blondie essentially goes insane because
Dimitri?
Yeah, because
he does that in all of them. But
he does.
You probably saw more of that than we did.
But also, I didn't play as Dimitri, so maybe in his story he doesn't, or he does.
No, he does go insane in his story. I know that much. Like the Mad Dog or whatever, like that's true in all timelines. But in our version, like he showed up like twice, and I don't even think he died on camera. I think he just kind of like they were like he went away and then he died.
Oh, I killed that bastard. I killed him. It was awesome.
No, that's why I think that game's really cool because like I wanted to preserve all the faction leaders in that one final fight, so I didn't kill any of them. And the game was like, yes, they did run away and were caught in the night through a fury of arrows. So I was like, fuck you, game.
Yeah, it does not want to let you spare them.
Oh my God.
I don't know. It was big, but it also felt like unfinished and also over long, and just pacing was all over the map, and there were just things.
And for that, it is actually I think my number 3.
Oh, wow.
Number 3 on my list, like because of that, I really love the game. I spent a ton of time with it. I love the dating sim part stuff of it. I love the Persona 5 like high school. I'm going to classes and I have to max out my stats, and I love the twists of like now my main character is like a goddess, and I thought it was cool as shit. And the fact that we're having different discussions about the different play styles that we had based on the routes we take, I think is a boon to that game.
Definitely.
Probably. I would agree with that. It's unfortunate that it's like both fortunate and unfortunate, right? That like we won't see those other routes. Like it would be nice if the impetus was there to go back and do it again, but hell no.
Right.
Never again.
It would be like, hey, it would have been better if you had made a 15 to 30 hour game on each of those different flavors that I could go play through instead of a 90-hour game and a 60-hour game.
Yep.
And I don't know what Dimitri is, probably another 60-hour game.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, nobody ain't got time for that.
No.
I agree. Anyway, that's all I want to say about Fire Emblem. I don't always love Nintendo games. And 2019.
Let it be noted.
Sometimes Jeff doesn't like a Nintendo game as much as other people.
I don't know if anybody else has anything they want to talk about, but I just want to get this out of the way as we end here. This has been a weird year for me because I've played a lot of games and finished them and didn't put them on my list, a.k.a. Anthem. Beat the game. Not on my list.
I'm sorry.
Rage 2. Beat the game.
I'm sorry.
Not on my list.
You don't have any more you want to talk about that I can apologize to you for?
Wolfenstein Youngbloods.
Oh, why did you do that to yourself?
Okay, so that was the one of those that I was like, maybe I could fit this in here somewhere and knock somebody else off. Because
okay,
inherently,
cool.
game design wise, it was trash. But playing it was fun. So I think of all of them, that one could be there. But in the Wolfenstein, trifecta, it is the weakest of the three.
Gotcha.
Would you say that when you were playing Rage 2, you better get ready to die? Of boredom?
Yeah.
Nice. Solid.
Shazam. Yeah, that's good.
I feel like
very good.
there were some real clunkers this year, but I feel great about games, man.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I do too.
We got new consoles on the horizon. They're making a VR frickin' Half-Life game where we all have to buy $1,000 VR headsets now.
Definitely not going to do that.
What?
I'm definitely not going to buy a VR headset.
You have to. It's not.
Yeah, does it work on my PSVR?
No,
Is
you
it-
guys got to buy.
Is
It's
it
actually
compatible with Nintendo Labo?
now it's $2,000. Now it's $3,000. Just keeps going. up.
Yeah, as many times as Jeff turns into a robot, it increases by $1,000.
Oh, am I full robot?
Yes.
Mother grabber.
Gosh darn it.
I think
But yeah,
next year is going to be awesome. We got Final Fantasy VII remake. We got The Last of Us. We got all sorts of crazy stuff.
it doesn't matter. Next year is Cyberpunk, and that's all that matters.
Very
Dude,
true.
March next year is
All
gonna
other
be-
games do not matter.
March is going to be stacked AF.
Right. You look at their Q1/2 releases for next year for 2020, and it's like, okay, well, this will just unfold over 2020 and 2021 because there's too much.
It's too much.
What do you guys think about the look of the Series X? I dig it. I'm here for
I
it.
love it.
I love it
I
so
love
much.
it.
I love it so much that I really wish that there was a reason for me to buy it, but there isn't because it's not going to have the weird Japanese shit.
Why don't you buy Xbox Game Pass for PC and then you'll have like a weird reason, like I do.
I want the big old tower boy.
The big old tower boy.
What's the big old tower boy?
The Series X.
Oh, I'm confused. What do you mean?
I want the square man.
Oh, is there different? Has there been different like SKUs for different?
No. I mean,
areas?
I love how weirdly shaped it is. I'm talking about just the thing we saw, which isn't that big, but is big in weird ways. I want it in my
Yeah,
life.
me too.
Yeah,
That's all.
I'm down.
but you don't want it because it's not going to have your favorite Japanese games
It's
on.
not going to have my Japanese anime.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat.
So I'm honor bound to purchase a PlayStation, even though I'm less excited about it.
Right. Listeners may have noticed there's no Microsoft exclusive games on these lists.
Yeah.
Gears of War.
But we
Case in point.
already knew the reason for that is we already knew that the actual game of the year was Halo Reach on PC.
Dude,
We
Forza
just-
Horizon has a battle royale now. It's pretty
Yeah,
wild.
that sounds cool as shit.
It's pretty. I watched some videos of it. It is pretty wild.
Gears 5 was aggressively inoffensive and pleasant.
What? Had like a
Did you
hole.
play it? You played it?
Yeah, I have Game Pass.
Head like a hole.
So you did play it?
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, I felt extremely neutral towards it.
Wasn't it the one that was 120 hertz on Xbox One?
Gears 5, I don't know. It's 120. It's 144 on my PC. Scrub.
Dog.
Scrub.
Yeah. Their first party output is serviceable.
It's good. I think it's going to continue to get better. They're buying
so.
so many studios. And the new Hellblade, I'm here for that. It'll be fun.
Oh, that looked awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to be excited, but I also don't want to spend thousands of dollars to
Why not?
play my favorite games.
What's wrong with you? How much is that thing going to cost? $500.
Just
I'm with
accept a
Jeff. I don't want to spend
significant
thousands of dollars on this.
I'm making $10K less than I was going to be able to make starting next year. So,
Wait, really?
yeah.
Even though it's
I-
the same employer?
Same employer. I accepted a salaried position, which has a much lower earnings potential. Yeah, but
I'm sorry, dude.
It's okay. It makes sense.
Okay,
For now.
note to self: we're gonna cut all
Yeah.
this. Not talking about our stuff.
Let's tie a bow on this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. So, coming back in, 2019 has been a shitty year, but in terms of video games, there's been some good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel great about the stuff I enjoyed.
I can't wait to play Disco Elysium and then think, why didn't I make this my game of the year?
Same.
Yeah, good question. Jamie, what is everybody's one regretful game that they didn't play this year?
I have a lot, but Disco Elysium is definitely on there.
Yeah, for me, it's Disco Elysium, especially because it's got the whole mental health aspect.
Oh, really?
Or not mental health, but, the idea that you're mind is split up into several discrete sub.
That's
conscious-
schizophrenia, right, Jamie? When your mind is split.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's nothing wrong or problematic about that definition.
Or it's when you can't decide.
That's
right?
schizophrenia. We need to put you on an antipsychotic for that.
Also, if you have road rage, that's bipolar.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
Anyway, what's your regret, Griff?
I was really racking my brain during your guys' conversation there to think of something that I regretted not playing.
Did you play Gears 5?
I feel like you have more
No,
things you regret playing than vice versa.
I have a lot of things I regret playing. That's a very good point. I think I would land with you guys, and Disco Elysium would be one because of its win at the Game Awards. It's very narrative focus. Speaks to me, but also like I swear there's just something like there that I'm not picking up, and I can't think of it. And it's really bothering.
Halo
me. Like,
Reach?
I played Astral Chain, so that's not on there. It was Halo Reach. That was it. Yes, thank you.
Halo Reach,
2008 game, Halo Reach.
It's having a moment.
It is having a moment.
I kind of want a Master Chief collection for $0.
Well, why don't you get Game Pass?
I may. Anyway, let's end this.
Okay.
Yeah,
This has been fun, guys. I'm really glad we
Xenogears,
did
Game of
this.
the Year again.
I love that
Woo!
game. Let's keep doing this.
All right, so perfect time to end. Happy 2019. We'll see you next year.
All right, bye, guys.
I'll do nudes, but no nudity. I'll do prudes where like I look like I'm a prude, but no, I'm nasty. Because I have to say I'll do foods, which is where I dress like Phil Spencer eating various foods.